Yo, 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 what's happening? What's happening? What's happening, folks? It's been a very, very, very long time since I've been on these streams, live streams by that matter. In fact, I haven't even put up a video uploaded in a very long time. Well, just to, before I dive into all the stuff that I need to catch up on, which I've been paying attention to, by the way, since I've been away. Um, I've been, occupied for more important things in my life, which are very good things. I'm still doing my traveling, and I've been having the traveling bug ever since my wife had married. Since last year, which has been it's been going real fast, by the way. It's almost 2 years now since we've been married. So we have a lot of things which I'm going to get into. But other than that, I've been focused on other things, projects outside of the YouTube realm, as you want to call it. Yeah, man, things has been good for me, man. I see there's three people slowly coming in, watching the chat. So it's been a very, very interesting, if not liberating experience for me. Oh, I kind of broke up, Ahmed. How about now? Do you hear me? All right, great. So yeah, man, what's going on, man? Wing King, what's happening, yo? Joe Host, yeah, man. Yeah, I think my connection. I'm on a better Wi-Fi connection, so I should be clear now. Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna try not to move this machine back and forth. But yeah. What's up, Terrence? I'm good, man. I'm good. It's all right. Yeah, starting to get some people in here, so I mean, slowly trickling in. So got a lot of things to catch up on. So first things first, I want to get into before I get into the boxing stuff. I'm going to get into the political realm, which has been a hot topic of debate as of late in the United States. If you live here, I'll just give my thoughts and opinions on that real shortly. Now, let me just say this: the name Donald Trump is a very, very vitriol, if not tarnishing name when it comes to the world of politics. By that matter, okay. Now, as in case people don't may not have, in case you don't follow politics, or if you, and that's okay, that's within your right not to follow politics if it doesn't intrigue you. But Wayne King says the Democratic Party is a mess. Well, let me get into that. Both parties are, not always, they're not perfect by any means. We all know they've all do some shady stuff. But let's be real here. Okay, Donald Trump is a guy who's a very, very, tarnishing president. He's a tarnishing name. He has a not so good reputation in many other ways, even before he entered the realm of politics. Okay, let me just tell you this: the whole impeachment trial that's going on right now. Well, it's not, the trial hasn't started yet, but the impeachment process has begun due to the fact that he did commit a criminal act, which is criminal. All right, you cannot, as an elected official, you cannot ask a foreign country to intervene in the presidential election. You cannot do that. Number one. Number two, he got away with that with the 2016 election when he asked the Russians to meddle and dig up dirt on his political rival at the time, Hillary Clinton, to sway the election. You cannot do that. That is illegal. That's within the Constitution. It's also the law. You cannot do that. That is an impeachable offense. Number three, he held up federal aid to a country that's in crisis right now in war with Russia, Ukraine, in hopes that they investigate his potential political opponent who may win the Democratic primary, which is Joe Biden, which that investigation has already concluded years back with no wrongdoing on his son's behalf, because his son, who's Hunter Biden, who sat on the board of Burisma, who is a gas company over there in Ukraine for some reason, whatever the case may be, they were trying to get them to open up an investigation to sway to sway the public's opinion on Joe Biden, who could potentially be the Democratic opponent for the Democrats going into the general election. So the fact is that it's getting worse and worse, because first things first, the call that took place between Trump and Vladimir Zelensky, who's the Ukrainian president, by the way, I think he's the predecessor to Shevchenko, who was who, by the way, was very corrupt, who was a Russian-backed president of Ukraine at that point, who, by the way, Paul Manafort used to be a political advisor to. So very strange, right? Paul Manafort, the same guy who was the campaign chairman of President Donald Trump at one point, who voluntarily elected to become the campaign chairman without being paid for it, which is I found kind of strange, but it is what it is. Manafort is actually in jail right now for violating various federal laws. Okay, Rudy Giuliani, who's also caught up in this mess, who, by the way, was Secretary of State, by the way, who, by the way, was the same guy who lobbied for the job when Trump got elected. And the reason why he didn't get the job, because he had some compromising business practices overseas, which barred him from becoming the Secretary of State. But instead, Trump hired the guy to become his shadow Secretary of State, which John Bolton, by the way, was bothered by that, which he ultimately left office. I mean, I'm going on to a long diatribe about this. But the fact is that Trump is getting impeached. That's going to happen. I hate to be cynical about this, but he's getting impeached. But as far as him being convicted in the Senate is concerned, which is Republican controlled, by the way, it's kind of far from that at this point. But at the same time, it's worth pointing out that they are picking up steam there as far as getting support to remove him from office. Because right now, the Republican Party is in a bad, terrible shape right now. And they are doing they just can't defend the indefensible. It's very difficult to defend this, given the fact that they all conceded that he's broken the law by conducting that call with the Ukrainian president, asking him a political favor to intervene on the next 2020 election, which is illegal. That's a line you don't cross. Okay? So his impeachment is going to happen. But as far as him being removed, which the Senate has to convict him where a trial will be held, it's still yet to be told at this point. But what I can tell you is that they are getting enough support. The support is growing there where he's fucked. Let's be honest. He is fucked. And I'm just being honest with you. There's just no way I see he get out of this. And he knows it himself too. He knows it as well, because many of his aides are banning him at this point. And they're trying to save their own asses, their own political careers, and rather than go down with this guy. Let's be real. Wayne King says, I don't think he'll be impeached, but we'll see. Well, you know what? Hey, anything's possible, because, in the state of politics, expect the unexpected. Let's put it that way. So they need to give Tulsi more backing. Well, Tulsi Gabbard, let me comment on Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard I don't want to say she's a two-faced, but she's one of those people that you have to, you just can't figure out whether she's going to stand on one issue or she's going to abandon that issue. For instance, at one point she was the dom. Excuse me. A little choke here. She was the darling of the progressives, right? Because at one point she advocated, she is an anti-war advocate, which we all are, most of us agree we're anti-war advocates. And the fact is that she was an advocate for Medicare for all. That's a core principle when it comes to progressives. And in one instance, she comes out and says that she prefers choice for all rather than Medicare for all. When she did that, she completely fucked her own campaign by taking that stance right there. And besides, Tulsi Gabbard has no chance of winning anyway. Let's be honest. She speaks the truth. Sometimes she speaks the truth. Sometimes she abandons the truth. That's the thing about Tulsi Gabbard. I can say I didn't want to call her a toothpaste, but that's just no other way of describing it. I know I said it at first. I don't want to call her that, but she has always seen some flip flop on her issues, and that's why she does poorly she did very poorly when it comes to the Democratic primaries. She has no shot at winning anyway. I know she's threatening some type of independent run, but still, Tulsi is one of those people who, she's like I know there's a rumor going around that she's a darling to the Russians, but hey, I don't know about all that. But the fact is that she does make sense to some degree, but then again, she just backs away from the issues that she stood for. I can't support candidates that do things like that. I'm being honest. That's how she is. Now, as far as the Democratic candidate pool being weak as it is, I'm be honest with you, I'm not too fond of it, with the exception of Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden, yes, he was an Obama, he was a vice president to President Barack Obama's administration. I get that. I'll tolerate Joe Biden, but the thing about Joe Biden, he does flip-flop too as well. That's the thing. Why do they work so hard to block her and slander her name? Well, Wayne King, I don't know. Sure, there are established Democrat establishment who wants to block her because of the fact that she's often broken ranks. That's the problem they have with her, and that's the same problem they had with Joe Lieberman at one point many years ago, where he's broken ranks way too often to support President George W. Bush's foreign policy, which, by the way, was not a very popular foreign policy. So she's kind of like the Joe Lieberman of the at this point right now, the young version of him. It's like she'll break ranks so many times, she'll flip flop on many issues. She'll say one thing to get garner grassroots support from the progressives, and then she turns around and backstabs them by another statement. So this is the reason why I wouldn't call it slander. It's just that the fact that she breaks ranks a lot. She keeps flip flopping on her issues. That's the problem. Let me see. All candidates have done that far more than she has. Yeah, let me just say this. I'm not saying all candidates don't flip flop. They do. But what I'm saying is that she's broken ranks way too often. And as opposed to the other candidates, they don't break ranks often. That's why they get more support than her. You see, the thing is, if you keep breaking ranks way too often, then you're going to ruffle feathers within your own party. That's what she does. And she's like Nikki Haley in many ways. Nikki Haley is another one, an opportunist right now. Right now, she's writing this book and trying to throw, to Secretary General James Mattis and Jim Kelly under the bus because they asked her to kind of undermine the president, as she said, quote unquote. Well, she's saying that because she's trying to lobby herself to become vice president if Mike Pence gets thrown under the bus, if he's no longer considered to be on the ticket for the 2020 re-election. So I kind of equate her to Nikki Haley in some ways. He said that Wayne King says they cut her mic and Google blocked her accounts after the first debates. Well, I heard something about the Google controversy. Google blocked her because she violated their AdWords policies or something like that to the effect. And she's fighting it. I know she sued Google because of that, or her campaign by that matter. I don't know what the case may be. But for some reason, she did violate some of their policies, which she was already warned about already from what I've heard and read, that she violated the AdWords policy. She was warned about it, and she kept continuing to violate it, and that's why they blocked her. So again, I'm not. Tulsi Gabbard does have some good intentions to the extent, but my problem with her is that she continues to break ranks on critical issues, and the fact is that she keeps flip flopping. So if you combine those two together, that is an issue that I have. It seems to me is that she'll be an opportunist, whatever it suits her interests, no one else's. And due to that fact, that's why her campaign is such a train wreck. I hate to say that. I might get flagged for saying this, but that's just my observation of the whole situation. But anyways, like I said, Wayne King, we have a different opinion. We keep it respectful. I really respect that. But the man's getting impeached. He's getting impeached in the House. That's going to happen. Now, as far as him being removed from office, that's yet to tell at this point. But the fact is that the support of Republicans breaking ranks from Trump is growing in the Senate. It's growing. And that's not a good sign for Donald Trump. And the fact that he did break the law, you can't defend it. Many Republicans know he did. That's why they're struggling badly to defend his position on the Ukraine call. And the fact that he has a guy, Rudy Giuliani, who doesn't even have a security clearance to run foreign policy. That is another incriminating situation right there. And the fact is that you have many other people who can vouch for the fact that he did break the law by holding up foreign aid to them so they can fight the Russians, just so that he wants to get an investigation against a potential political opponent. That's illegal. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. Wayne King says no one in the Democratic has policies that make sense. Well, yeah, sometimes they don't have policies that I contest with the Democrats. And for the most part, the Republicans have policies that certainly don't make sense either. So it could go both ways, man. No problem. I like the dialect. Yeah, I do too, man. No problem, man. So yeah, now let's get into boxing. So I'm gonna get some people back in here. I know I've been away for a long time, so we're definitely gonna have to get some more people to chime in. So let's get into the boxing aspect of it here. So let's talk about about some things that's been happening as of late. First things first, I want to give props out to Donito Donaire and Naoya Inoue for putting up a very, very fantastic fight the last couple of weeks. Yeah, Mr. Tubbs says, you're right, Dan. Trump will probably be impeached, but however, it's unlikely he'll get removed from office. Yeah, that's exactly my point, Tubbs, is that Tibbs, I'm sorry, Tubbs. Tibbs, I was thinking Tony Tubbs. Heavyweight Tony Tubbs. But Tibbs, yeah, that's exactly what my stance is on this. Yeah, he's going to be impeached by the House, but removed from office is unlikely at this point. But again, the support, the fact that there are Republicans there, they're going to break ranks from him at this point in the Senate. That's not a good sign of things yet to come. As the more evidence gets to mount against him in the case to get him removed from office. Because yesterday, or 2 days ago, I should say, when Marie Yovanovitch, who testified during the impeachment, during the committee, the Intelligence Committee in the impeachment case, he used something called witness tampering when he tweeted live in real time while she was testifying. That right there is illegal. That could be used against them in the articles of impeachment. Witness tampering. That's what got Nixon impeached in the House and almost got convicted in the Senate before he resigned. So it's just not a good, things are not looking good for him at this point. Let's just be honest. No, if you're impeached, you will be by law replaced by the vice president. Yes, but the thing is, the vice president is also implicated as well. Mike Pence, he's implicated in that Ukraine call. So the fact is that if he's impeached, then guess who becomes the president of the United States? The House Speaker. We all know who the House Speaker is, right? Nancy Pelosi. So Mike Pence, yeah, if he's not, pretty much he could be implicated as well. He's not what's the word I'm looking for? He's in the doghouse as well, I should say. So yeah, along with him, Mike Pompeo's in the doghouse. All of them involved are in the doghouse. So anyways, let me go into the boxing part. Naoya Inoue and Naoya Inoue and Nito Donaire was a great fight that took place a couple weeks ago. Obviously I didn't get a chance to comment on that, but it was a fantastic fight. Fight of the year candidate, definitely for sure. Could be arguably fight of the year. But the one thing I do have to contest is that 10 count and Nito Donaire had applied to him when he suffered a vicious body shot, a delayed reaction, by the way, which I find very, very bizarre because when he was moving away, when he got hurt by that body shot, he was getting away from Inoue. The referee blocked Inoue from pursuing any more damage on Donaire. But Donaire took the knee, and the count was so freaking, I don't know, it was not a slow count, but the fact is that Donaire did not even make the 10 count. As the referee said 10, Donaire just gets up, and then the referee called it, okay, he made the count. We clearly could see that Donaire did not make that count. And the crowd was booing the hell out of that count. Obviously, it was in Japan. It was in Naoya Inoue's own backyard. But still, though, the point is that Donaire did not make that 10 count. Okay, it didn't matter anyway, but the fact is the principle of it, that he did not make that 10 count at all. We all saw it from our eyes. I watched the replay 3-4 times. He did not make the 10 count. Yeah, I think that count was slow, Jack, is what the king says. Yeah. It was, I wouldn't say it was slow, but the fact is that the referee's intentions was to make sure Donaire could make the 10 count one way or the other, which he clearly didn't. He didn't make the 10 count, but it didn't matter anyway. But the fact is that he lost the fight clearly. It was a good fight. You know, I would say 8 rounds to 4 for Donaire. But the fact, not Donaire, for Naoya Inoue. But the fact is that he was saved a knockout. Let's put it that way. The referee saved him from a knockout. Plain and simple. Donaire himself suffered a bad cut from the right eye, I believe, by Donaire's left hook. And Donito is very known for his vicious left hook, which he still got, by the way. But as far as the aftermath is concerned, where both fighters go from here, I really think that Donaire needs to retire. He's done all he could do in the sport. I mean, the man's a 4th-division champion. He was a one-time pound-for-pound, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. He was ranked as high as number 3 at one point. He's had a great career, and I think he is Hall of Fame worthy in my view. So I think he just should hang him up and focus on other things. He got a very good payday due to WBSS tournament. So he should, he should just look up. Yeah, he should just look into that. Let me see. Yeah, I know. Political got talk, guys. It's all good though. It's all good. Salute. What's up, Amir? Salute. Tip says Donaire has fought a good fight. Yeah, he did. He fought very hard though. He proved the naysayers wrong because me myself thought he wasn't going to last no later than 5 rounds, but he lasted. He went the distance. He put up a very good fight. He wasn't there to lose. He wasn't there to lay down for no one. So my thing is though he was saved from a knockout. Let's be real. He was saved from it. Let's be real. So yeah, props to him as far as Dio anyway is concerned. Yeah, definitely stay at bantamweight. I mean, he could go back down to super flyweight if he wants to, because to me he looks pretty small to be at bantamweight. He looks pretty small in my view. If he goes up to super bantamweight, that he's definitely giving up a lot of size there. I mean, guys like Luis Nery. Yeah, I'll send the link to the second out, man. I'll send you guys a link. Like guys like Luis Nery, and of course you have Jesse Magdaleno up there. I mean, and you got Isaac Dobby. Those are big super bantamweights up there, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, anyway, to me, he needs to stay at bantamweight, or he could push it, go back down to super fly if he wants to. I think he could do it. Just being honest. So I never believed that he had trouble making super fly. I never believed that at all. I never believed it. I know Nyota pointed that out before. Shout out to Nyota, by the way, but I just never believed that. So it is what it is. But I still like to see him mix it up with like some Estrada and Yada Superfly. Sarama side, Sarisa Ket. That's a fight we wanted to see for a long time now. Him versus Sarisa Ket. Sarisa Ket himself is a big super flyweight. He can move up to a bantamweight and fight anyway there. Of course, anyway, got Solana Tete there waiting in the grass. So that's a fight he definitely should make. A unification bout between him and Solana Tete. So that's a fight we definitely want to see there. So, yeah. Now, as far as Wilder and Joshua and Ruiz and AJ previews, I definitely want to get the guys in there. I'm not going to go into that first. So let me get their insider talks on that. Yo, what's up, Kurt Sugar? Long time no here, man. I'm good, man. I've been enjoying life, dude. So I'm catching up on a lot of boxing stuff. So yeah, definitely want to definitely want to catch up on that. But yeah, man, if you want to hop on, man, we can discuss and chop it up, man. We can definitely do it. Hell, throw some old school boxing stuff into the mix as well, because George, I'm sure you heard George Foreman put out a video or an interview. I think it was recently. George Foreman said that he didn't really want to fight Mike Tyson, even though those many years ago he was adamant about getting that fight. And of course, Mike Tyson didn't want the fight. But George Foreman said that in reality, he didn't want that fight. So I want your thoughts on that. I found that very, 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 very strange. But it is what it is. Hey, what's up, Nyota? So I just spoken to the devil. I'm just messing with you. He says Nery versus Manuel Rodriguez on Wilder versus Ortiz card. Oh, I didn't even know that. They've actually scheduled that fight? Oh, okay. We're going to have to talk about that. That's a damn good fight right there. Good bantamweight bout. Figueroa versus Seja. That's a very good super bantamweight bout too. So, actually, no. Yeah. Nery's a bantamweight. Okay, I thought he was going up to super bantamweight. Big to be making bantamweight at this point, man. Because we both know that Nery has troubles making that weight. So, all right, we'll see. Oh yeah, speaking of that, I want to talk about the WBC Kubler-Terrell situation, man, because there's a lot of stuff I got to talk about. We're gonna have to chop it up, guys. But the WBC announced that they're going to raise the legal limit, along with injunction with VADA. They're going to raise the legal limit when it comes to the Kubler-Terrell situation because, quote unquote, there's a Kubler-Terrell epidemic in Mexico where when anyone consumes the meat produced there, Kubler-Terrell is contaminated with. The meat's contaminated with Kubler-Terrell. It's a crisis over there. So what the WBC has done, along with VADA, they have decided to allow fighters to have a certain amount of limit, to raise that legal limit, because the epidemic is crazy, quote unquote, what they're saying. But in my view, they're just using it as a scapegoat in a way, as leverage to get some of these primetime fighters, like, for example, Ray Vargas and Julio Cesar Martinez, those particular guys, and Canelo Alvarez, obviously, to give them a bit of a leeway when it comes to Kubler-Terrell. To me, that's just a bad mistake in the WBC's part. I do not condone their actions right there, and I think it's a fucked up situation. I think, in my view, it's a bit shady. Now, when it comes to shadiness, Eddie Hearn, oh yeah, I'm gonna get on him too. And yes, I have criticized Eddie Hearn, and I do respect him in some regards because he's done some good things for the sport of boxing, particularly in the UK's aspect of it. But I will say this with the Julio Cesar Chavez controversy, which I will get into. So the fact is that Eddie Hearn is a hypocrite in many regards, and he's had a horrible week so far. Because the fact is that he has in the past has condoned many fighters for being caught on PEDs, particularly Jarrell Big Baby Miller with the Anthony Joshua situation, right? We know that he has condemned many fighters in the past for being on PEDs, and he's advocated for being banned from boxing. Ruiz-Ortiz, for example, when he worked so hard to get him banned from removed from the WBA rankings, whatnot. I don't want to get into all that, but that's a long story. But the fact is that he has condemned fighters like Ortiz and Miller, and yet he works with fighters like Povetkin, who's had PED issues in the past, whatnot, and now Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Dillian White. We all know that he worked so hard to cover up that situation. But the fact is that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was permitted to undergo a mandated VADA drug testing, which was implemented by NSAC. That is required if you're going to license a fight in Nevada, in the state of Nevada. When the sample collectors arrived at the gym that Julio Cesar Chavez was at that point, he adamantly refused to give them a sample. He flat out told them, no, I'm not giving you a sample. I'm not drawing a sample. So what did Nevada State Athletic Commission do? They took action. They told him, you know what? Then we can't sanction your fight. We're going to suspend you. We're going to put you on administrative suspension until you comply to our standards. So what Eddie Hearn tried to do, he tried to outmaneuver NSAC. They tried to place the fights elsewhere. They tried to place it in California. They couldn't get a license there because Chavez Jr. has a bad reputation in California, obviously. And Chavez Jr. is a known drug cheat himself, which he was able to get away with because he's a darling with the WBC. And the fact is that they ultimately got a license in the state of Arizona. When Bob Bennett, who's the executive director of NSAC, found out about this, he warned Eddie Hearn and sent him a stern warning and let him know that you're violating the Muhammad Ali Act. If a fighter gets banned or gets suspended due to drug-related issue in the state of Nevada pertaining to boxing, that applies to all states. He's not permitted to get a license in all the states. And you try to outmaneuver us puts you in jeopardy of getting your license revoked. So Bob Bennett is letting him know that this is pretty much not the UK where you can outmaneuver the anti-doping agencies or the athletic commissions. You cannot do that because if you think you're going to do this, trust me, you got something coming. You're going to be held legally liable if you think you can stage that fight with Chavez Jr. and Daniel Jacobs. So Eddie Hearn hasn't responded to that, to my knowledge. So he's keeping very quiet there, which is pretty smart. But the fact is that he pretty much now knows that things work very differently here in the United States as opposed to the UK. But the fact is that he is being a hypocrite in this situation where he's trying to protect a well-known drug cheat, just like Dillian White is. I hate to say it, guys. He is, just like Dillian White, but he's condemned other fighters like Jarrell Big Baby Miller and Ruiz-Ortiz for their PED usage. Okay? So I find that very, very hypocritical, and he's having a terrible week right there. If I'm Eddie Hearn, I'm going to give him some proper advice. If I were him, I would cancel that fight. It's not worth it just to bat it out for Chavez Jr. I know the zone is very desperate for subscribers right now. They're bleeding for cash and they're bleeding for retainable dollars. I get that. But the fact is that this is not the way to go. Chavez Jr. is not worth it. You need to cancel that fight and move on with it. And just give Danny Jacobs a replacement opponent, which I heard it will be Gabe Rosado, but it is what it is. Let me see. The Texas says that Nyota says that Neary is trying to chase Inoue supposedly. Elderby and company trying to build that fight. I think Neary is better at 122 though. The difference is his form between the two Yamanaka's fights is evident of that. Yeah, I agree right there on Nyota. It's just the fact that he just can't make the weight. And he's just too big for bantamweight. And if he's trying to, he's really trying to drain himself to go after Inoue anyway. I know he is the cash cow of the bantamweights at this point. There he is. Inoue is the biggest money draw in that weight class. So I can see why many people are trying to go after him now, particularly Nessalana Tete, obviously, which is a fight that we want to see. Neary trying to drain himself to go down to after it now. Anyway, it's going to be very detrimental. But if it's worth the money, then that's all power to him. By all means. Terrence in Texas says the meat has different banned substances within the meat. But if it's well known, just don't eat the meat, period. Why raise a limit? Even a microdose is enough for athletes to use PEDs. Yeah, I totally agree right there, man. I totally agree. It just, to me, the WBC is using this as leverage with VADA to kind of give their prime time and their cash cow fighters, who's ranked with them, particularly Canelo and Ray Vargas, a pass. I'm just being honest. That's exactly what's going on. So I really am pissed off for them to doing that. Tip says that Hurd should just cancel the fight instead of risking the license. Exactly. I mean, exactly. I just don't understand why he's going out his limbs to get Chavez Jr. a license, knowing that the man is refusing to do a fucking a mandatory random, in other words, a mandatory random VADA drug test. The man is flat out refusing to do it, and Hurd is still trying to spat out for him to get a fucking license. I just don't understand that. That right there is very risky for him, and he needs to just cancel the freaking fight. Plain and simple, just cancel it. And right now, there's no signs of that yet, so we'll see. We'll give him a week, but for real, man, if he doesn't cancel this fight, this just looks a lot worse for Eddie Hearn than what it is at this point. It does, and it really takes a hit at his credibility when it comes to his views and his stance on PED users. It does. So let me see here. Tony Yayo, what's up, Tony? What's up? He says that what's up with the LDBC dude not getting his credentials to Wilder-Ortiz? I need Cliff Note versions, not sit through a 2 hours plus hour rant. Hey, you know what though? Yeah, I heard something about this. This is you're talking about Fred over at Barbershop Conversations. Now, me personally, I have no problem with Fred personally, but I will say this, and I'll be very truthful here. Fred, I know he wants to use a word that I need to use. We're trying to be independent journalists here. We need to ask the right questions. I get that narrative, but the fact is that I hate to admit it, Fred. Fred, if you're listening, man, the way you built your platform, yes, I commend you for getting all the subscribers that you get. I can't knock you for that. All power to you. But the fact is that you're trying to racialize every single issue to support certain fighters is not the way to go. I'm just keeping it real. You just can't do that, bro. All right. If you want to build your platform, in my view, I think you should build it where you can have your favorite fighters. You can support your favorite fighters. We all do. But there's a way you go about it. You just can't racialize the situation because it's a very sensitive issue. Yes, Dante built this platform by doing that in the past. I get that. That's how he was able to build his following. But the fact is that Dante's not around anymore because why? Because things like that is very sensitive. It creates controversy. Yes, controversy creates cash, but you can only go so far with that because it's not going to last long for you. And the fact that Dante is now doing other things, he has other business ventures, I think overseas, I don't know where, but the fact is that YouTube has cracked down on that. Google, they cracked down on that. And the fact that the PBC does not want to be involved in that, their whole organization, they're very organized at that point. They don't want their name to be involved with vitriol like that. And I hate to say that. They don't. So the fact is again, this is not a knock at Fred, but the fact is the way he going about it is not the way to go about it. It's just the wrong thing to do, man. You just can't do that. And the fact that Kelly Swanson is a very, very powerful individual within that organization. Okay? If she has the right to ban you and revoke your press credentials, she has the right to do that. I'm not saying that I agree with her, but I'm saying she has that right. And for Fred to go out there and try to slander her name like that, that further burns his bridges with the PBC brand. It does. I'm just keeping it real. You just can't do that. You just can't do that. Now that Fox, who has a close relationship with the PBC, are very, very powerful individuals. They don't want to be associated with that. Not saying that they don't want independent media to cover their stories. Anyone is at liberty to do that. Michelle Joy Phelps, Radio Raheem, IFL TV with Kugi Cassis, and Rob Tibbett for over there at Boxing Social. You should take pointers from them, pick their brain, because yes, they will have their favorite fighters themselves, but they don't build their platforms where they racialize every single issue. And I I got no problem with Fred personally. I admire the work that he put into it. They said, but there are some things that you have to go about it, man. And for him to racialize situations like that, I don't agree with. I think that's the wrong thing to do, and that's a reason why he's got his credentials pulled. In fact, I've heard he's got his credentials pulled elsewhere with Golden Boy. Obviously, he's got credentials pulled with Top Rank. He's got his credentials pulled with, I think, with Batcham, I believe, because he's really pissed off Eddie Hearn with that interview. Yes, he asked some good questions. I'll give him. In my view, I didn't really see anything wrong with Fred's line of questioning in that interview. It's just Hearn trying to cover his tracks with the Dillian White situation. But at the same time, it's just that it's a prevalent situation where he's getting his credentials pulled everywhere. And the fact that he's out there trying to slander not only Kelly Swanson, now he's trying to slander Al Heyman. And to me, that's the wrong way to go, man. You just don't do that. I think there's a way you have to approach it. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, Fred, on your channel, but in my view, I just think that you need to kind of change your platform the way it's going. I just think you should. That's just my view. You don't have to listen to me. I don't have near the subscribers that you do, but that's just my opinion, brother. That's just mine. Okay. Let me see. Let me go down the chat. Curtis Anderson, Kurt Sugar said, "Hey Dan, did you see the Sunny Listed documentary on Showtime?" Yeah. You know what? I didn't get a chance to look at that, man. I heard that came about. I did not get a chance to look at that. I'm definitely going to check it out. I do have the Showtime app. I am a subscriber to Showtime, obviously, so I'm definitely going to check that out. So yeah, I am. Let me see here. Diota says, yeah, anyway, he used to be a high risk, low reward, but now he's a high risk, high reward. So we should be seeing some better names like Abali, yeah, Tete, Casemiro, Estrada, they all say they want it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the biggest cash cow now with the lower weights now. I mean, I think that Dio anyway is probably more of a bigger cash cow than Lomachenko in the lower weight classes, in my view. I think he is. So I know Lomachenko is probably the biggest cash cow at lightweight. Yeah, there's no question about that. But as far as like overall the lower weights is concerned, as far as anything lower than 147, I should say, I think Nayo Inoue arguably is the biggest cash cow of all those guys lower than 147, in my view. So yeah. Canelo, he said Canelo. I said Canelo. Big King says Canelo will be juiced up and clean a percentage of all the crap of his body for the rest of his career. Yeah, that's what's going to happen, unfortunately, man. I mean, that's just a theory, but from my observation, yeah, I agree there. Weak King says very racially motivated. I mean, yeah, like I said, man, independent media. I totally support independent media, man. I totally support it. And the reason why, because there are mainstream media folks that will be reluctant to ask the questions that need to be asked. Okay, that's why I applaud guys like Fred at that time. He does ask tough questions that need to be asked. I get that, but at the same time, I just think it's unnecessary for him to racialize the issue. I think it is. That's just my opinion. Okay, guys like Ellie Setback. People like Michelle Joy Phelps, Fido Boxing. I forgot to mention her, Andrea over at Fido Boxing. She has her good platform as well. So people like that, they built their platform. They built their platform based off the fact that they don't use that vitriol to build subscribers. They don't do that. But again, I say they don't have controversies on their channels, but in some cases they run their platforms pretty clean. That's why they're able to get these contracts with Sky Sports over there in the UK. That's why Radio Raheem and Michelle Joy Phelps are based most of their work over there, because they are well respected. They get access to a lot of fighters, promoters, even the broadcasters over there, even executives like Adam Smith. They're very respected. So the fact is they make most of their revenue over there, and they base themselves over there. Yeah, I know about Andrea, what she does, man. And I ain't gonna get into all that. I know exactly how she does things over at Fido Boxing, but yeah, but like I said, my point is that she's not really a controversial figure over there when it comes to independent media on YouTube. That's just my point. I'll say this at best. There are some people who want to build their platform off controversy because, as Eric Bischoff has said, the wrestling promoter, Eric Bischoff. He wrote a book and he said this at best: controversy creates cash. That is evident. It does. But at the same time, how far can you go with that controversy? Because at some point, sometime, people are going to be very fed up with the controversy to the point that they don't want nothing to do with it. It can only take you so far. That's the point. Let me see. The text, Terrence says there's a new female boxing channel coming up. She definitely got she got everything, in my opinion. Well, I don't know. Who are you referring to? Not that other one who tried to sue Kubrat Pulev. Is that the one you're referring to? Oh, no, you're not referring to her. No. Why is Barbershop threatening Al Heyman? You know what? I don't know how, man. I don't know why Fred's doing that, but, like I said, I'm not trying to go any further in that situation, but I will say this, though. If he invokes today Al Heyman and he's trying to threaten him in that way, that's definitely not the way to go. Definitely not the way to go. That right there will definitely sabotage yourself for being banned from anywhere, even being blackballed, that you can't even get into the event at all. Maybe they'll let you buy a ticket as a spectator, but other than that, you can't even get involved in the lobby area where all the the press media is going to be at. He's really sabotaged himself by doing that. I'm just keeping it real. So yeah, and I'm just telling this out of Fred's sake that he just needs to step back and just say, you know what, man, you're gonna have to rethink this. Really. Nah, she's brand new. Her name is Nika. Nika? All right, I'll check it out. I'll check out her channel, see what she's got for boxing. So let's see. Tony A says, good point, Dan. I think Fox is behind pulling all the credentials. They want everyone. Yeah, I mean, Fox may be behind the whole situation because you have to understand Fox is paying a whole lot of cash to feature all the PBC fighters. A whole lot of cash, far more than Showtime is doing. And somebody said something about me being a Showtime subscriber. Who said that here? Hold on. Tony Ayo said, you still subscribe to Showtime, man? They have zero boxing at this point. I'm like, well, you know what? They still have some boxing. But the reason why I subscribe to Showtime because I still watch the movies and the TV shows. So I just don't watch it for boxing. I don't want to spend too much time on Fred, but the fact is that I'm just Fred, if you're listening again, man, just rethink what you're doing, man. Just rethink what you're doing. I think you need to scale back on the whole Kelly Swanson thing, in my view. I think you need to scale back on that. So let me see. What else you got here? Let me bring in the guys here. We'll discuss more about the Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua, and perhaps the Eddie Hearn thing. Oh, by the way, the Sky Sports pay-per-view hike. We'll definitely have to talk about that, whether it's how much if that's an issue or not issue. Let me see. I want to make sure nobody's texting me here. One of my friends got married, man. I have to give him congratulations. So let me go ahead and send him a text. Oh, babe, it's one of my coworkers down there. Yeah, my former coworkers, that is. Let me check something here, guys. Bear with me, guys. All right, let's see. Let's see. Nothing there. Let me just get the link. Send it to these knuckleheads. I'll just call them knuckleheads. Yeah, the guys. Hold on. Let me see what they get in here. Come on. I have to check. There we go. All right, let's add some people here. People. Love you. No, I love you. I'm still on. So. Absolutely. All right. Okay, I sent some link to some of the guys in the chat. So let me see here. I want to see that documentary y'all mentioned on Sonny Liston because I remember I tried doing some research on his life, but it's very low key. Yeah, you know what? Sonny Liston, if you do some research on him, it's a very, very interesting story because one, there's some discrepancies on what year he was born. Number two, there's a discrepancy on where he was born. So that in itself is very, very interesting to me because it seems like people can't figure out what year he was actually born, what his actual real age was when he fought Muhammad Ali. I know it was listed 1932, so he was 32 years old when he fought him. If you look at his skin tone, he looked a lot older than that. Some people speculated that he was probably in his mid-40s when he fought him first time. So, I mean, it was hard to believe. If you look at his photos at that time, he didn't look like he was in his early 30s. He did not at all. So, there's some discrepancies what year he was born. Some people speculate it was 1921. Some people speculate it was 1913, 1919. Yeah, many people kind of have discrepancy on 1932. So I mean, it's telling. I don't think we actually going to know exactly what year he was actually born. I know there was a biographer, someone who actually who covered this, who covered his whole life in a way. I forgot the writer on it, but Blood actually covered it. Shout out to Blood Boxer. He actually covered it on one of his videos that he was born in his biographer, Sonny Liston's biographer, stated that he was born in 1917, I believe, something around there. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, that to me is very interesting to see. Yeah, because I just don't think we're all going to know exactly what year he was born. So, yeah, Kurt Sugar said he was definitely older. Yeah, I have to believe that Sonny was definitely older when he fought Ali. He was not 32 years old when he fought him at the time when Ali was known as Cassius Clay, the first fight. So yeah, of course, the other interesting fact about his story is about the dive, the phantom punch that he suffered from Muhammad Ali in the second fight, which he was arguably asked to take a dive in that fight, and the Chuck Whitmer fight too, where he was also asked to take a dive in that fight. But yet he didn't oblige, and he destroyed Chuck Whitmer, and he pissed off a lot of people who was betting on Whitmer to beat him in that fight. And then next, he ended up subsequently dead. So, that's another controversy right there, how he died. That's very disturbing too. So it's very disturbing. It's very interesting and disturbing to figure out what year he was born. It was also disturbing and interesting to figure out how he died. So that right in itself is very interesting. So Nyota just popped up in the chat. So let me get to the chat here. Hey, Tip says, "Hey, yeah, Dan, any info on Low Place?" You know what, man? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with T, man. I really don't know. I heard, I mean, it's possible what he could be. I'm not going to say the word what could possibly happen to him, but all I can say is, he probably is on his long hiatus. He needs the hiatus, so he'll definitely come back. So we'll see. We definitely need Low Place's voice to come back, even though he and I had some beef in the past, but we patched that up, man. At the end, we became cool. We became buddies. We still disagreed on some issues, but we kept it respectful. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely needs to come back. Kurt Sugar says that, hey, they have a 13-part series on Carlos Monzon, a knockout blow on Netflix. It's a real good read. You know what? I did not know that came out, man. I'm going to definitely look into that, man. Yeah, I'm going to definitely look into that. I'm going to definitely check out the Sonny Liston documentary first, and then I'm going to check out the Carlos Monzon documentary. Yo, Nyota, what's happening, brother?
Hey, what's good?
Not much, man. Now, since you're in the chat, man, let's talk about the lower weights, man. What do you feel about that? I know I'm late on this one. Do you think that was Donaire did beat that count when he got knocked down by that body shot by Inoue?
Yeah, I mean the ref counted to 10, so I mean he counted to 10 and then give him an extra few seconds or whatever. I guess I'm not too mad about it, just only because I'm kind of happy for Donaire because as good of a career as he's had, fought all the guys that he fought, he deserved to at least have the moral victory, going and everything. And he was able to survive the last couple of rounds too. I mean, it wasn't like it was any small feat to keep surviving even after that assault to the body that Inoue gave him. So he had to survive thereafter too. So
Right, and the good thing, and the thing is too, he's hurt anyway. So if a few times in that fight too, what he could have knocked him out. So
Mhm.
he definitely deserves a lot of respect and props for going the distance because many people like myself did think he was going to last 5 rounds, and the
Yeah.
fact that
Well, at first it looked like he
fought,
wasn't.
yeah,
Shit,
he
there was a
fought
couple of
hard, yeah,
times
exactly, he
where
fought
he
hard,
was
he fought
looking like
like
he was reeling.
yeah, he fought like he deserved to be in there against Inoue, which
Yeah.
many people did, like myself didn't think he did, but he fought hard, and he got his biggest payday of his career during the duration of the tournament. So, yeah, all respect to him. To me, in my view, I think he needs to retire. So, what do you think?
I mean, it's one of like I could go either way with it. I think he could still be very competitive against anybody in the division, But if he was to choose to retire at this point, I mean, you can't have much of a better going away party than that. I mean, I'm sure he'd probably want to go out with a win, which he could still get to go over a lot of guys, over even a lot of contenders. But it's one of those things where I'm sure he got paid very well.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows? We'll see though. We'll see exactly how it plays out.
Right. I see Ahmed just came in here, but hey, Ahmed, what's going on, man?
I mean, brother, I haven't heard from you for a while, man. How you been?
I've been good, man. Like I said, I've been traveling. A lot, and me and my wife go on journeys, and other things going on, man, which are more important. So,
Where did you travel to? Where were you traveling to? I would say.
Well, I've been, obviously I came from Europe. I came from Fiji at one point. Then I recently came from. I haven't traveled so far distance. I've actually came from. I went to the up to the north. I went to the Pacific Northwest for a minute. Then came back down. So, yeah, man, I've been good. I've been good.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. It's always good to get away.
Yeah,
I was seeing you're probably back for the fight this weekend? Wilder-Ortiz. Got a couple more big fights left.
Nah, man, I'm back for that. I'm back for just basically. I'm back just because I need to catch up on a lot of things, man. I don't want to be completely ghost from this. You know what I mean? It's always good sometimes to take a break and do other things. You know what I mean? So I just think that to me, I definitely box. I do love boxing, and I've been keeping up. I've been been paying attention to the news of what's been going on. A lot of controversy for the last week or so, man. It's been a lot of controversy more than the fights. And we already know what that controversy is, which I've already gave my opinion on that, but I don't want to dive back into.
What was it regarding? I'm not too sure what you're talking about.
Well, the Eddie Hearn situation with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, man.
Did you hear about the pay-per-view price? They put up the pay-per-view price.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. Before that, I would say what's up to Kurt Sugar. What's up, Kurt?
Hey, Dan the man, what's going on with you, man? Long time no see. I was like, where's Dan at, man?
You know what, man? I mean, I hear you, man. A lot of people ask me that too. Even B Marsh is wondering what's going on, man. How come I ain't made no videos in a long time? I had to step away from it. Like I said, I've been traveling. Me and my wife been doing, focus on our relationship. We're going on our 2 years of our marriage, so it's been work too. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But I know Ahmed just asked about the pay-per-view hike on the Sky Sports, man. I have to ask Ahmed this question. Kurt, you could chime in, and Nayo, you guys can chime in on this too.
Sure.
$5 to me, in my view, doesn't seem that much of a deal. But from the principle standpoint, some have argued that $20 to pay for a pay-per-view fight is a little too much as it is over there, as it is already. Number one, that's what I heard. Number two is that some people view this as a cash out because the Sky Sports executives, or even Eddie Hearn, by that matter, does not believe that Joshua could win the Ruiz-Aj match. So they're cashing out on him just in case, and that's the reason why they're doing the pay-per-view hike on it. So, Ahmed, what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
all right, because my connection, but I think it's because I'm using other. If I go on something else, all right, I was gonna say, it's not a good decision. Even though I don't buy pay-per-views, but you got to look at it objectively. And the thing is, this people say it's only £5, but for about 10 years, the real price structure was £15, which is probably about $25, I think, or 30. somewhere around there, if I'm correct. I'm not too sure what the exact thing is now, but they've quickly moved it to 25, and the logic behind it don't make sense. To me, is a cash out. Like they're worried about Joshua losing, because if he loses again, I'm not sure if they can make as much money as they want. So it's not good. What they're doing to the fans is not good. Like whether you like Hearn or whether you like Joshua or not, if you're really for the fans, it's not good, because the fight's in Saudi Arabia. So that the majority of Joshua's hardcore fans are obviously from the UK. A majority are white, British, whatever. They're not going to want to travel to a country like Saudi Arabia. So that half of them have been cut off from there. I understand the criticism, but then to charge extra money for the pay-per-view price, I can't defend that. I know in America people keep saying there's only £5 more and the price is cheaper, but you got to factor in there's been about so many pay-per-views. There's been about almost 20 pay-per-views in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
The majority on Sky. And a lot of people are paying for Sky Sports on top, which is expensive, it's subscription.
Right.
I think people got a right to complain, and I don't think they're gonna make the money. They might make a bit more money, but I don't think they're gonna make the money they want to make, and people will vote with their wallet.
Right. Well, let me ask you this: do you think, from your personal view, that this adds more pressure to Joshua, given the fact that he may go into this mindset thinking, well, you know what? Not only that, if the pressure on me to lose weight to help my cardio condition to help. So here's the thing: that way I see it, Joshua's trained. He's not trained to knock out Ruiz. We all know if he tries to knock out Ruiz, he's going to get himself knocked out. He knows that now. The fact is that now that they raised the pay-per-view price, now the ramblings is going around that they're cashing out on because they don't think he can win the fight. Does he think this is going to add more pressure to him on his mindset that he's got to really work hard to win this fight?
I think they put too much pressure, and I think Eddie Hearn's put even more now pressure that what they're doing at the pay-per-view price. I think in Eddie Hearn's mind, he thinks this could be the last roll of the dice. Joshua's already talked about retirement, and I heard David Hay was talking on Sky Sports in the studio that he said if he loses again, there could be a possibility. I personally I don't think he can knock Ruiz out like that. I think he's going to have to break him down, cut him open, because I have not rewatched the full fight. I've seen glimpses of the rounds where he gets knocked out and down, but yesterday I decided to watch. I was going to try and watch the fight, but it got too late. I watched the first round. The thing I realized was Ruiz was the one who took the center of the ring.
Right.
He was backing up Joshua. Now, if you look at Ruiz-Ortiz and Wilder, Ruiz-Ortiz also did the same thing. But in the end, Wilder knocked him out, finished him. I think Joshua doesn't hit as hard as Wilder, but he's going to have to try and box and break him down. I'm not sure if he could go the distance. That's a big problem he's had over stamina, conditioning. So it is a tough fight. I still think it's a 50-50 fight if I'm going on paper or whatever. But on paper, a lot of people are seeing Joshua's favorite. But inside the ring, I think Ruiz just might have his number. I think Joshua has to fight a good fight. If he's using unnecessary pressure and energy, he could get gassed out again. He could get knocked out again as well.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. Because to me personally, what I say is that yes, you can. Losing the mass helps your cardio and your endurance. Me personally, I always said this at best. Endurance is it's a natural beauty, whether you got it or you don't. Because I see guys are tremendously overweight or if you're overbalance muscular, and they still have good conditioning. So it goes by natural ability, in my view. So yeah, but hey, Kurt Sugar, what are your thoughts on that, on the pay-per-view hike, and how do you see the Ruiz and Joshua match play?
Well, first of all, pay-per-view. I'm not sure how far you guys go back. I'm in my 50s. Before pay-per-view on television, you had closed circuit TV where you saw the fights in movie theaters. The ticket was like $20. Me and my father used to go to see the fights at Capitol Movie Theater in Passaic, New Jersey, and then you had cable pay-per-view. So you always paid for boxing, and the fan didn't mind as long the fights were entertaining. You had the Leonard Hearns, Leonard Duran type of fights, then you had Mike Tyson, who was very exciting to watch in the 90s. People use their elbow, they were in the house to watch his fights. When you have a not so good product like today's fights, boxing fans and the casual fans, they question whether the fights are worth the watch. Now you have a pay-per-view at $70. Now, I like Wilder because he's a knockout puncher. He's up there with Liston, Shavers, Foreman, Dempsey, Lewis, a heavyweight. It's the most coveted prize in sports. But, is Wilder-Ortiz worth, I don't know, in the United States, $70? I say no, but there's ways to beat that. And what we did, Dan, was we got all the guys together. We pitched in for food, and we charged $10 a head. Whoever was hosting the fight, you had maybe 10, 15 people in your living room. You charged $10 a head, and that covers the cost and plus more. That's pay per view.
Yeah.
And now,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, now getting to Joshua and Ruiz, I find it very intriguing. This is a highly anticipated rematch, because every fight has its own personality, because people want to know, Ruiz knocking out Joshua, was it a fluke? Was it a bad night for Joshua? Or does Ruiz have Joshua numbers, and is he overrated or not? So people want to find out. I think it's a mistake that Ruiz and Joshua losing all that weight. Remember Riddick Bowe, he lost that weight, and we thought he was in shape for the rematch with Andrew Galata, and neurologically something happens to your body. Ask Roy Jones against Antonio Tarver. So just because a fight is in shape, that doesn't mean that it's going to show in a fight.
Right. Well, you know what? That's an interesting point that you mentioned there, because so the thing is about that, you mentioned Riddick Bowe in the Andrew Galata rematch. Let's go back to that real quickly. You and I both know we watch. We're like students when it comes to boxing history, man. We go as far as back as the 1960s or 50s, whatever the case may be, even the 1900s after the Reconstruction era. But let me just say this, man. The Riddick Bowe, in my view, yes, he took some. He got knocked down once or twice in the Galata fight in the rematch. But the fact, in my view, he was in better shape in that fight than he was in the first fight, because in the first fight, I thought he was grossly out of shape, in my view. I think he was, because he was blowing out steam. He was losing stamina. I thought he was really out of shape in that fight. And we all know that, you and I both know that Riddick Bowe was never the most disciplined fighter outside of the ring. He was always known to blow up between weights after fights. You know what I'm saying? So that just one instance where I thought he was in better shape. I thought he was more conditioned. He was more faster, not only on his punches, but he was also faster on his reflexes. He's faster on his feet. That was just my view. But the thing about the Joshua thing is just that I think that, based off his body, like I just said, is him losing all the mass that that many people argue that he should have a long time ago. Him losing the mass that he has, losing the physique, that overly muscular physique that he has, and the fact that Ruiz is losing all his weight. I think the reason why Ruiz lost the weight, because he sees that Joshua's losing weight, because he knows he's going to be faster on his feet. He knows that Ruiz is not the most. He doesn't have fast feet. So him putting all the mass that he had in the first fight, he's going to have a tough time catching him. So Joshua is training. He's trained not to knock out Ruiz. He's trained to stay away from him and go 12 rounds with him. That's what he's trying to do. That's the way I see it. So, but to your point though, I think there are some unanswered questions. Some people are going to question whether it was a fluke, whether Ruiz got his number. Did Joshua have a bad night this first fight? Which most fighters do. This is professional boxing. Many fighters have bad nights. Even Deontay Wilder's had bad nights. So, obviously with Tyson Fury, but the fact is that, yeah, in my view, I see what you're saying. You and Ahmed's point. I know Terrence just jumped in the chat. What's up, Terrence? I think. Good, brother. I think, to me, I know I said initially I thought this was a mistake for Joshua to go into this rematch. Even immediately, by that matter, I thought this is a bad stylistic matchup. But I don't know. I might have to change my opinion on that. I think now it's scale for me of me favoring Ruiz more to me being a 50-50 fight at this point. So I'm in agreement with you on that one, man. Yeah, but real quick before I get Nyota's opinion on this, I want to ask you something. I want to talk about that Sonny Liston thing, man. Do you believe that Sonny Liston was murdered, or do you think he died of natural causes? Because that's the interesting about Sonny Liston's life, is that you and I chopped it up real quickly, is that we don't really know what year he was born, and yet we don't really know how he died. So what's your opinion on that?
I believe he was murdered. By whom? That's another story. He had a lot of enemies, man. You know,
Yeah.
he was hanging with some bad people. You know, my father always told me that Sonny Liston was a bad dude. He was fearless, man, and he hung around West Las Vegas around some unsavory characters, man. And you know, it's just like the John F. Kennedy thing. It keeps you guessing who, you
Yeah.
know, and speculation. You know, we'll never know. You know, but I don't believe he died of natural causes. I believe he was murdered.
You know, I have some, I have reason to speculate that too, man, because you and I both know that he was supposed to take a dive against Chuck Webner. I'm sure you read that story, right? He
That's correct.
was supposed to put him over, and he refused to comply. He beat the hell out of Webner, and that's why Webner became a punching bag more so after that. After that fight, he beat the crap out of him, and it pissed off a lot of a lot of guys who were betting against him against Webner. And from that standpoint, I think a few days after that fight, he ends up dead or missing somewhere. When I read, so I find that very suspicious, in my view. So I'm not laughing about it, but I found that very odd that after a fight that he was supposed to take a dive against, a fighter he was supposed to take a dive against, he ends up missing or dead somewhere a few days after that. So so I don't know. Like I said, it's a very interesting story that people are going to be talking about for like many years and centuries. We don't know what year he was born. We don't know where he was born. We don't know where he died and how he died. So it's like, wow. It's like he's a mystery.
Yeah,
So
man. Like if it were the modern day era, his history of like how he was born and how he was raised and how he died would have been uncovered already, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And like I said, man, Terrence, is that there's a biographer that went out there, and Blood even covered this on his channel, saying that he was born in 1919 or 1917. So he wasn't born in 1932, which many of us believe. He was not born that year, because if you look at his facial makeup when he fought Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, 1964, when he was listed to be age 32, he didn't look 32. He looked like he was in his mid 40s when he fought him. I'm just being time. He looked like he was in his mid 40s. There was no way in hell he was 32 when he fought that guy. No way. I'm just keeping it real. And I like Sonny Liston. I'm just saying. But let me see. Tony Ayo in the chat says, I really don't like the fact that Joshua Ruiz too is competing with the SEC championship game in the late afternoon window. You know, that pissed off the zone, because the zone knows that they're gonna be competing with a very, very, very important college football game. And during that time slot, and they're not going to be gaining subscribers, and they're pissed because they're going to be losing money, because one, they're not gaining subscribers. Number two, they have to fork out a lot of money for the licensing fees to broadcast the fight. So in reality, they're not making money for that fight. So that's why they're equally pissed at her for staging this fight in Saudi Arabia. Which, by the way, I don't know. You guys can chime in on this. Has the stadium been completely built yet? Does anybody know?
I haven't heard anything, Dan.
Where in Saudi is it supposed to be?
It's supposed to be in Jeddah, I think. Let me check. Not in Riyadh, in Jeddah. But the stadium that they're hosting a fight at is supposed to be at
Diriyah by Riyadh. But I've seen videos. They've actually built half this whatever stadium. I don't know if that's the right word, because it's an outdoor stadium, innit? They put the seats around that.
Right.
Yeah, it's outdoors, so they don't really need to build much. It's not going to have a roof, but I think half of it or 3/4 of it is already built. That's going by what I think Matchroom posted.
Okay, so what's the percentage? By like 75% built, 80% built, 90% complete, or what's the percentage?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but they've got about 3 or 4 weeks left, I think. What is the fight? Is it early December? So
December 7th.
They should get it made.
It's December 7th.
They should get it made in time. I'm
2 weeks away.
Like late they left it, but they.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 weeks away.
Stadium in a year.
It's a bit weird though. It's a new stadium as well.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure. I think.
Really weird.
The location.
Go ahead, Ahmed. Go ahead, finish up.
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed, you were saying something? I guess his mic cut out. Yeah, but the thing is that it's 2 weeks away, and
yeah, apparently I'm looking up all the articles and stuff. I guess they didn't start building it until mid-October.
What?
Yeah.
What the? What the? I mean, plus they got that many workers to build a outdoor stadium in that fast time.
I don't know if you want to know that, Dan. I don't know if you want to know that.
Yeah, you're right. Let me leave that alone because I know how Saudi Arabia is when it comes to human rights.
That'll be a.
Yeah, let me leave that alone. But
that'll be a long tangent.
It reminds me of that Benchwarmers movie, man, like where they were trying to build that baseball stadium in a day and stuff.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I don't know, man. Here's the thing: I'm very weary about this because I'm sure you guys follow WWE. You guys heard the controversy surrounding WWE when they were in Saudi Arabia the last time.
Yeah. I was well because I wanted to watch that event because Fury was on it and all that stuff, and I heard about all the shit that happened. That was crazy, yo. I guess, like, they had a beef with I guess they didn't pay Vince McMahon, and so like or something like that, and so then like half of the WWE cast or whatever like was held hostage. Over there. Like they couldn't get the flights and stuff.
Yeah, this is what happened, man. They were not paid for their prior show to the Ground Jewel show.
Right.
Right there had left me freaking gassed right there. I'm like, what the fuck? They were not paid. So Vince McMahon wanted to have a meeting with the Crown Prince, MBS, because he's the one who actually, helped, set up the deal with their sports authority, which is their, you call their administration, whatever you want to call it, right? So the Crown Prince didn't show up for the freaking
meeting. Their athletic commissioner. Whoever.
Yeah, the athletic commissioner, exactly. So the Crown Prince didn't show up for the meeting that Vince requested. And that pissed off Vince McMahon. He was fuming about that. So out of retaliation, he decided to cut the live feed in Saudi Arabia. It didn't affect those who were who has the app, who has the WWE app.
Yeah, but it affected like the home crowd over there. So.
Yeah, it affected the home crowd, and that pissed off the Prince. So the Prince of retaliation decided to ground, like the 175 people, their staff and crew or production team that was held there for a while, and
kidnapped.
They were pretty much kidnapped. The wrestlers felt like they were being kidnapped. They're like, "What the fuck?" And some wrestlers even said that they were on the plane, right? They were actually sitting on the plane for at least 6 hours, right? And then next you know, the military police shows up on the plane and took them off the plane. And they're like, what the hell's going on here? And here they are sitting there in Saudi Arabia stranded, and Vince McMahon is traveling already on his private jet, already out of the country, got halfway home. And obviously to me right there, it is like, beside the fact that the wrestlers, how they felt about Vince McMahon in that situation, they felt they were abandoned. But overall, it's like, why would the Saudis take so long to pay them for a previous show? Why so long? So I don't know, man. I don't know if Eddie Hearn is
because fuck you because they can. That's probably why.
Exactly, because they can. And the fact is that I don't know about this, man. Will Eddie Hearn get paid on time? We're putting this show over here, this boxing event. Will he get paid? I don't know, man. Will Joshua get paid? Will Ruiz get paid? I mean, looking at the WWE controversy, I don't know, man. I don't know about this.
Well, I mean, generally the fighters they get their check the night of. So I mean.
Well, yeah, I know, but the thing is, the WWE was supposed to get their check the night of too, and they never got it. That was a problem. They never did.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean, look, I think they'll be fine, but my biggest thing is the stadium. How is that looking right now?
The stadium, I think I broke up the connection. I seen the videos of the stadium. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Like when I seen it, I was surprised how quickly they've got like I don't know. I heard it was about maybe more than half. I think it's Frank Smith, the guy who's the CEO or whatever of Match. He posted.
Yeah, he's the CEO of Match.
Is he a manager?
No, he's the CEO, executive director of Match. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that should be that much of a problem. I think the bigger problem, if I'm being neutral, for Ruiz, I'm not sure if he's going to get any favors. If it's in Saudi Arabia, I think they've done this, so Joshua will probably have all the benefit of the doubt. Like, he'll have to either do what he did last time, or he'll have to knock him out, or win every round, like convincingly, and drop him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's going to have to put on a Marcos Maidana performance like he did against Adrian Broner.
He's gonna have to either do that.
I wanted to ask something about the stadium. Is it gonna be outside or inside? Is it gonna be closed?
It's outside.
Yeah. It's outside.
Yeah.
So it's exposed to the climate. Anyone know how the climate is over there in Saudi Arabia?
I've been there. It's very hot, but
It's hot.
I've been there, but It's very hot, but what was it? We're in December, isn't it?
I was
So
just
it
saying, in
won't be-
December, I'd imagine it might be on the cooler side, like almost like the way that like LA is or whatever, where it's
the
like,
fight will be in the night, isn't it? So yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I mean,
it
it
won't
might,
be
it
as
might
hot.
actually get pretty chilly out there though by the time the main event starts. So
When I went in July, it was like 45 degrees Celsius. So what is that like in Fahrenheit? What is it in American?
I know that's well over 100.
Not 45, sorry, 39, 40. That's almost over 100, I think. That was
Yeah,
really,
that's
all
that's
that was,
extreme.
that was in
That's
the
very
middle
hot.
of the summer.
Yeah, that's extremely hot.
Yeah, you can't fight in that way. That was very
no,
hot.
but I mean, by the time they actually get in the ring, though, it should be at night. No, right?
I mean, they should
and
have
it's in
the
December.
I mean, the temperatures of the stadium should negate the weather a bit, so they should be fine either way. But I mean, it depends how they built it. So, battle rifle. What's
Well,
up?
I'm looking at the at least the what do you call it, the renders of it, and it's a 3-sided outdoor stadium.
Right. Well, I mean, look, I think they'll be all right. But looking at that WWE
It's actually
situation,
pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know, man. Eddie Hearn needs to be very cautious about that. How they're going to be paid.
Yeah.
He need to be cautious about that. Really.
Saudi Arabia is the wrong place to do business.
I mean, well, you know what? Look, man, I'm gonna just be fair. I mean,
Gotta get that money up front at least.
they gotta get that money. They have put out some successful events in Saudi Arabia. I've seen it, but they need to negotiate it where they need to get upfront payment, at least like a half of the payment up front.
I mean, maybe they have. I mean, who knows? But
Maybe they did. But that's what I thought what WWE was supposed to get when they agreed to this 8-year deal with the Saudis to put these shows there twice a year.
Yo, the best part of that WWE thing is the fact that they wanted Yokozuna there.
They wanted Ultimate Warrior there too. They wanted Ultimate
dead.
He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, he died in 2000. Yeah, he died 18 years ago. 19 years ago.
So they just had some
Warrior.
dude dressed like him.
Yeah, they wanted the Ultimate Warrior. I'm like,
crazy.
well, they died.
Like, you want us to dig them up?
They dig them out of the grave. I mean, okay. Not a funny matter, but anyways, man, like I said, Eddie Hearn needs to kind of be careful how he deals business with the Saudis. In my view, just be careful, man. Because you see what the WWE is going through right now. I just don't see how they can patch this relationship up. How is it going to be good for the next 4 years? Because they got an 8-year contract, by the way, for what I've been told or heard. So, but yeah, moving along here, man. I wanted to touch on the Wilder-Ortiz rematch real quickly on that. What's your guys' take on that? How do you see that fight play out? I'm gonna start with Kurt Sugar. Then we'll go down the line. Go ahead, Kurt. What do you take on that?
I'll tell you what. Wilder is not the most technically gifted heavyweight. He's no Larry Holmes or Muhammad Ali. But what he has is numbing, groundbreaking power, man. And if you look in the past, heavyweights like that since Dempsey and Lewis and Liston and Foreman, they've been successful. And Tyson, he's no different. He has a high knockout ratio because of that right hand. He got hammered. That's a hammer right hand he has, man. But Ortiz has a high pedigree. He's come from that Cuban style boxing. They had great heavyweights. Unfortunately, they never turned pro. You had Teofilo Stevenson and Felix Savone, great amateurs. Remember, Stevenson was supposed to have fought Ali, but he turned the $5 million offer down. But anyway, Ortiz is a crafty southpaw. I think he's a little bit older, just like Sonny Liston was. He's a little bit older what he's led on to be. He has to lay on Wilder's right hand. He has to move away from Wilder's right hand. I won't go to the body if I was Ortiz, so that means he has to get in close. That's his best way of winning, because if he gets hit with tail end punches, just like the first fight, he's going to get knocked out again, because what people don't talk about, Wilder has a savvy and cunning way of landing his right hand. He's very athletic and very tall and very wiry, So Ortiz to win, he has to get on the inside, go to Wilder's body, try to sap out some of his power and lay on the right hand, move away from the right hand. And for Wilder to win, Wilder has a lot of upside because, he's coming off a knockout over Brazil. He knocked out Ortiz in the first fight, so he's feeling confident. And I don't know if the weight loss is going to hurt or help Ortiz. We have to see. But Wilder, what he did against Brazil, he hit his right hand sort of like Tommy Hearns. If he does that, he's going to win. And straight right hand down the pipe, that what always beats the southpaw. I'm going to go Wilder TKO in 7th round. I just think that Wilder has too much upside. I think Ortiz is going to have its moments, but I think Wilder for the technical knockout.
Right. All right. So cool. Great breakdown, man.
That was a good breakdown.
Great breakdown. Iota, what about you?
I kind of agree with Kurt, man. I just think it's, a matter of generally, like when you have rematches, it tends to go relatively similar to the first time around. And
Right.
oftentimes it'll be a little bit more, I don't know, I guess clear cut for the guy that won the first time around. So I think that just based historically on that, like I definitely favor Wilder by stoppage, probably in a similar manner to the way that Kurt kind of hinted at. The one wild card that could throw a wrench in that though is I've seen Ruiz-Ortiz and he's looking like he's in really, really good shape. He's looking like he's in like possibly the best shape of his career. So when you combine the fact that he may be more physically viable than he may have been in the first fight, along with the fact that he has the technical skills and the good experience that he's had in the past from his amateur background and so on, that could throw a wrench in everything. And also the fact that Wilder isn't exactly young either. A lot of people harp on Ortiz looking old and such, but Wilder's what, like 33, 32,
34.
something like that.
I think he's 34. Just turned 34 in October.
34. There we go. And the thing about Wilder is it's not even just the fact that he's a heavy-handed puncher. A lot of where he gets his power from is his snap. And if you start to lose some of that reflexive snap, that quick twitch muscle that tends to kind of betray you once you get to a certain age, by and large, not all 100%, some fighters can stave that off, but I'm not sure necessarily if Wilder's one of those fighters. Along with the fact that, he has broken his hand numerous times in past fights, that could play a role as well. So it's one of those things where we could possibly see a more viable Ortiz and a less viable Wilder in this rematch. I don't necessarily think that, but it's just something to at the very least keep in mind. But I do think that Wilder probably is going to be a bit more confident in his power. He's going to let his hands go even more than he did in the first fight, which ultimately is what he needs to do. He needs to try to be able to keep Ortiz at bay, because the lower his output is, Wilder's output, the better it's going to be for Ortiz, just because of the fact that he won't have as much to think about in coming forward and maybe like throwing the right hook to the body and then following up with a left cross to the head. So, that could play a role. But ultimately, I do think that Wilder will probably stop him relatively similar manner to the first fight, maybe a bit more clearly with a little bit less controversy, a little bit less, drama. But that's just me. And that's a big part of the reason why I like, if you just to touch on the pay-per-view element of it as well, why I can understand a lot of people being a little bit upset this fight being on pay-per-view, considering the first fight was on just regular Showtime. Right. Because a lot of times, we haven't necessarily seen anything from Ortiz actually in the ring that would suggest that he's going to do anything different to change what happened from the first fight to this fight. So, it's one of those things where it's like, generally when a first fight of a given rivalry happens to have been on free TV or just premium cable or what have you, and then the next fight is on pay-per-view, it's usually more so because of the fact that the first fight was such a 50-50 and it could have gone either way or whatever. It was a decision, or perhaps it was one of those things where a fighter won, but then they didn't look as good in their next fight, and the losing fighter actually looked better than the winning fighter in the next fight, and things like that. But with Wilder and Ortiz, we really don't have that dynamic. Wilder looked hella impressive against Brazil, and Ortiz, in the follow-up looked okay, but nothing to really suggest that he's going to do anything different to completely change the result in the second. Right.
Yeah, and that's a good point there, Niall. It's just like Ortiz. I hate to admit it. I've been a supporter of Luis Ortiz. You know that as well, and I have vouched for him in many ways. But I have to admit, though, his last two performances after the Wilder knockout. Cajano, that actually went. His last three performances, or let's say last two. I'm sorry. The Christian Hammer and the Travis Kaufman fight. I know he didn't look White is great, but credit to him in a way. I'm not saying Travis Kaufman is a great heavyweight, but he is the first guy to stop Travis Kaufman, and Travis Kaufman has given a lot of heavyweights fits in the past.
I don't think.
Well, I
I
thought
don't think
Kaufman
the
was actually
Kaufman
giving
fight-
Ortiz some fits, and it was one of those things where I didn't necessarily see Ortiz do anything all that different from what he's done previously in that fight.
I don't think that
He
was
just kind
that
of
bad of a performance.
broke
If I'm
him
being
down.
honest.
Well, you did
Like
it.
Kaufman, he dropped Kaufman about 3 or 4 times, didn't he? And he won nearly every round.
True.
I don't know. I don't know about the Hammer fight because I didn't watch it, but I've heard that was where people thought he regressed. But that could be down to Styles make fights as well. Cause
It could be down to styles. It could be conditioning, or it could be he didn't take him seriously. You know, that's a possibility. So
Hammer's not a bad fighter. Like I know at the moment you probably wouldn't have him in a lot of people's top 10, but I think he's a top 20 fighter you could make an argument for. And he knocked out Price. I think he went maybe the distance with Povetkin. So
he did.
I'm not too sure. It's just the way Fury dealt with him. I think but we know Fury's an elite heavyweight. He's probably arguably the best, if not one of the best heavyweights right now.
Yeah.
I personally think Ortiz might be in better shape physically this time around, even though he's older and people are saying might be slower. But that first time around, there was question marks over him being pulled out. I don't know if that was legit, but he did have high blood pressure. He still probably got high blood pressure, but he looks in actual physical better shape. Whether or not that makes a difference, we'll only find out in the fight. But I personally think Wilder should knock him out to win maybe 7. That was the round I thought as well. But if Ortiz hurts him again, I think Ortiz will stop him this time. I don't think Ortiz will let him off the hook 2 fights in a row.
Well, you know that's the thing. That's the thing about letting off the hook thing. Let me just go and get into that real quickly. Ortiz wanted to knock out Wilder in that 7th round. He was trying so hard. He emptied out the gas tank, and when he realized he did that, and Wilder was still there, he didn't have nothing left. That was a problem.
Yeah.
He had nothing left. So I think if he's going to knock him out, he's going to have to pace himself better. Fighting first how Mike Tyson does it. I'm not saying how he's a Mike Tyson fighter, but when Mike Tyson knocked guys out, he did in his first. He didn't empty out the gas tank when he knocked the guys out. He never did that. So if you fight in spurts and pick your shots, your big shots are going to come. Once you get your big shot, then you can fight in spurts. Take your time. Don't unload too much. Don't waste your energy trying to knock a guy out, because Wilder is not going to get knocked out. That's not, in my view, he's a very difficult guy to knock out, in my view. Even though when he gets hit, he looks awkward because he, obviously people clown his legs and whatnot. He does look awkward, but he does have a damn good chin. He does. So it's going to take a lot to get Wilder out of here. You're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at him, but I don't think Ortiz is going to make that mistake again. I think he's going to try to pace himself a lot better. He's going to fight his spurts this time around. And yeah, I think he's working. I think what he's working with, I saw his latest physique. I mean, the man looks a lot lighter than he's been before. So I think he's working on trying to work on his foot movement. I think what he's trying to work on having to beat the Wilder. That's what he's trying to work on.
Yeah, I personally think that when people say you punched himself out, I don't think it was that. I just don't think he had the legs. Now that could have been to do with conditioning, because if you're not in that good of condition, sometimes you can't run the extra mile, or you can't put the same pace in the extra round. And to me, I think I rewatched that round the other day where he hurt him in the 7th, and then that 8th he still hurt him, but he just couldn't. What was the word? He couldn't finish him off.
Follow up, yeah. He
couldn't follow up. Wilder survived. Wilder, credit to him, he took some big shots. I personally don't think he got a great chin, but he answered questions about his chin. He took shots that probably would have knocked out a lot of the heavyweights. Whether or not that's down to Ortiz hitting that hard, or Wilder maybe got a better chin than some people think, I think it's a bit of both, but I do think he answered a lot of questions in that fight. I just think if Ortiz gets him like that again, I think Ortiz should knock him out, because in that time he hurt him, the round ended as well. Wilder kind of got saved by the bell. I can't see if that... Maybe he will, but I just can't see that happening again.
Yeah, I hear you. It's good observation there, Ahmed. Great observation. Hey, Terrence, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out how Ortiz is going to make some type of adjustments in this rematch, and when you usually give a counterpuncher, especially a southpaw like Ruiz-Ortiz with good punch variety, I mean, it's not the greatest punch variety, but is still respectable for a heavyweight that's a southpaw and a counterpuncher. And usually when you give them a second time around, they try to figure out, they have like more of an insight on where your angles are going to be, you know. In terms of Wilder, he shows like those kind of angles at times, but he's very fast with it. And I don't know if Ruiz-Ortiz's reflexes are going to be on point for this one, but I think personally it's going to be a more cagier fight, believe it or not. Like, I don't think we're going to see any early knockdowns like how we did in the first fight, but I'm thinking that Wilder's going to try to stick to the basics, and later on in the fight, like when it gets to the mid to later rounds, as soon as he sees that he's down on points, Mark Breland is probably going to try to keep him in that mindset of staying with those type of basics, you know. And then it's going to be like later on in the fight where Ruiz-Ortiz starts to gradually slow down, because I think Wilder, not only Ruiz-Ortiz, I think is going to go to the body, but I think Wilder might go to the body too at long range, even though he might get hit a little bit. But I think it's going to be very beneficial for him as soon as the 8th round, 9th round approaches, and all of a sudden, like, you start to see Ruiz-Ortiz gradually slowing down because of his age as well. But I don't think it's going to be a right hand that's going to put down Ruiz-Ortiz this time. I think something is going to discombobulate him, like Wilder's left hook, for example, to the head, to the temple, I should say. That's really going to start the process of the stoppage, you know. And it might be an earlier stoppage, or like a little bit of a premature stoppage because of the incidents that have been going on recently, you know, with the deaths and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was that kind of stoppage, but I think Wilder is going to stop him late, but it's not going to be too far off from the same round that he stopped him. So I'm picking like 8th or 9th round.
Right. Yeah, I'm agreeing with all you guys on it. I think it's going to be a mid-round stoppage, maybe any time between the 5th or the 9th round. I think that's where Wilder's going to get you to stop him. And again, going back to the Wilder, not being the most technically sound fighter, that is, everybody is 100% agreement with that. That's a consensus vote on that. But I will say this, though. It takes a lot of skill to throw your best weapon, which is that right hand. Because there's been guys who can punch hard, but it requires skill to apply that power. And Wilder is very skillful at that. He's very good at that, because he's one of those awkward fighters where you just can't time when he's going to throw that right hand. You just can't time it. Even if you try to time it or telegraph it, it's so quick that it's hard to get away from it. It's extremely fast. And the fact is that, I do pick him to win between, the 5th and 9th round stoppage. But obviously we want to see what does he go from there at this point. I'm not saying this is a far-gone conclusion, but obviously Tyson Fury has been named the mandatory challenger after the Ortiz fight to that title. So I don't know, man. I mean, obviously that's due to the Dillian White situation. So, but we'll see, how this plays out, man. But it seems like people are more intrigued about the rematch than they were before. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't when it first got announced, because I thought, okay, Wilder should move on from Ortiz. That could happen down the road, given the fact that Ortiz didn't look great in his last couple fights. But other than that, it seems more intrigued now because he's in shape now. He's taking his training more seriously. He's in better condition, I should say. So he could make this a very interesting fight. And Wilder himself is always in shape, so there's no surprise there. So, hey, real quick, I want to ask Kurt Sugar this question, and I don't want to stay too long on this topic. Then I want to move on to the KSI and Logan Paul aftermath. Kurt Sugar, I want to ask you something, brother. George Foreman just recently gave an interview with Max Kellerman on ESPN, and he said that he didn't really want no part of Mike Tyson. You and I both know, and everybody, and I know that you probably know this as well, that it has been documented that Foreman been calling out Tyson when he made his second comeback, his comeback in the late 80s and early 90s. He was adamant about getting that Tyson fight, and now he comes out and said that he didn't really want to fight Mike Tyson. What's your thoughts on that?
I find that very, very strange, because I remember sitting in my living room, and George Foreman, after every fight, says, I've been calling out Mike Tyson. I heard it from the horse's mouth. I want Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was, quiet, unexpectedly quiet about that fight. And when you said it on top of your telecast that, Foreman said he didn't really want the Tyson fight, I didn't even know that. I didn't see the video, and I was like kind of surprised, because he was adamant about fighting Mike Tyson. It would have been a hell of a fight. You know, it wouldn't have lasted long, but it would have been a great fight. So him to backtrack and say he didn't want the Tyson fight, I'm confused because I said, wait a minute. I heard you say you wanted Mike Tyson. Now you saying years later that you didn't really want that fight. So what, you was clout chasing? You know, I'm surprised. I don't know what to think. I'm confused because if Mike would have took that fight, all that money, that fight would have made a lot of money. And people don't know, Dan the Man. Tell them that fight would have been huge, man.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I think, from my view, I honestly thought that Big George was serious, but at the same time, I didn't think he would stand a chance against Tyson. In my view, he probably wouldn't even last no later than 5 rounds because obviously George was never always the fastest fighter, even his prime years when he wiped out Norton and Frazier and those guys, whatnot, and even Ron Lyle. But the fact is that this dude literally was slow, and his technique was very off. I'm not saying technique is always important, but I mean, the guy was always slow. You could telegraph his punches. You could see his punches coming. And the fact is that, to me, I thought that Big George wanted a big payday, in my view. At the same time, I thought he was serious about the fight, but at the same time, he wanted the payday. Now he gives an interview saying that he didn't really want the fight. I'm like, what? He tells us that he didn't really want no part of Tyson. I'm like, oh, man, you've been leading us on after all these years, Big George? What the fuck, man?
George got that grill money.
I know he did. Hey, here's the thing, though, because it's evident, it's documented that Tyson didn't want to fight Foreman because of the words of Customato. Customato told Tyson that your style and your ability, you just can't defeat George Foreman. Customato told Tyson that. There's no way you could beat him. I don't care if he's old. I don't care if he's young. There's no way you could beat George Foreman. And that stuck to Tyson for the rest of his life. Those words right there. Because, Don King wanted Tyson to fight Foreman. He was trying to get that fight made. And then got so mad at Don King, he's like, well, you think he's that great? If you think so, then you should fight the motherfucker because I'm not fighting him. That's what Mike Tyson told Don King. I'm not fighting him.
Right. And I thought Tyson would have beaten George Foreman because of his speed. People forget how fast Tyson was.
Oh, yeah, he was very fast and very powerful. Powerful than Holyfield. But obviously, in my view, Tyson would have beaten Foreman, knocked him out in probably the 6th, 7th round. But the fact is, Tyson ducked the fight. He did. I have to say, he ducked the fight. And now Foreman's coming out saying that I didn't really want to fight Tyson. I'm like, now, what the fuck, man? Now you're giving people an excuse to forgive Tyson for not fighting me because you didn't really want the fight.
That's strange.
That's some strange shit, man. But I
mean, Foreman says some strange stuff though, so I'm actually wondering how much of that is really like true.
Yeah,
like,
Foreman.
Foreman, honestly, I think he kind of goes out of his way to compliment other fighters a lot of times, and like he'll downplay himself while he's doing it. So I get the feeling like he just woke up one morning and decided like, hey, I'm gonna big up Mike Tyson and say I didn't want to fight his ass. I don't know. That's just me though, because I've heard Foreman say that about a bunch of guys, saying like, oh yeah, Lennox probably would have whooped me and shit like that.
Yeah, like he also said that he didn't want no part of Ernie Shavers too when he gave that interview with Dave Letterman one time many years ago.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's just way too like complimentary of everybody.
Yeah, man, he's like very religious and stuff.
Can two fighters duck each other? I think that could be another case as well. Like,
that's
what
the
if
thing
him and Tyson both ducked each other?
Listen, I seen George Foreman on the telecast, and I wanted to tackle George Foreman. Listen, I heard him say Bernard Hopkins was beating the hell out of Felix Trinidad. And you know what he kept saying? Bernard better watch it. That cat can still scratch. Yeah. I'm like, come on, man.
I mean, Foreman always had a thing though for punching because he was one. So I think that was a lot of it.
You know what, dude? Let me say this, dude. And Kurt Sugar, it's a good thing. It's funny you bring that up, man, because I was so mad too. I was going to throw a fucking cup at the TV cast and tell George to shut the fuck up, man, because he was literally trying to persuade the audience that Bernard Hopkins wasn't beating up on Felix Trinidad. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Even Larry Merchant, who I don't like, who I despise so much, he even called out George Foreman on the live broadcast. It's like, what the fuck, George? Why don't you give Hopkins credit for what he's doing? Why won't you give him no credit? And George is like, well, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing that. He's like, well, what the fuck? He's a champion just like Trinidad. Give him some respect. anyways, yeah, George. I don't know, man. That is kind of strange that he would say that. Even all those years, he was really adamant about getting that Tyson fight. And Tyson, you know how Tyson is when he responds to call outs. When somebody calls, will respond immediately. But I don't know, man. I thought it was kind of strange that he would come out and say that.
How dare you talk to me like that? You better get on your knees now and beg for forgiveness.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hear you, man. But hey, y'all, let me get on this real quickly. I still call it a farce, even though it was entertaining. The KSI and Logan Paul aftermath of that fight. Let me just give you my take on it. I know you guys already gave your takes on it because the fight happened about a week ago or so. But I would say this: it was definitely entertaining. A lot of it was cringeworthy to watch because it was a lot of sloppy punching, particularly on KSI because he's a sloppy puncher, and I mean it was just funny in my view, but it was entertaining. But I mean, here's the aftermath I want to discuss on it because now Eddie Hearn is coming out saying that he's open to promoting more YouTube celebrity type fights now. I mean, what's you guys' take on that, man? I mean, seriously, for real, what do you guys think?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that fight did well. Maybe they got some good subs off it. So maybe that's why he's saying that. But I mean, as far as watching YouTubers scrap it out, I really don't give a shit. I mean, I want to see people that actually do it for a living, fighting.
Yeah. Well, here's my take. Let me just rephrase that a little bit. Let me just retract some parts of it. I don't mind seeing YouTube fights, but my problem is that if you're going to host YouTube fights and have these, the actual professionals, as you want to call it, Billy Joe Saunders or likes of Devin Haney, if you're going to continue to ask them to be the undercards of YouTubers, I have a problem with that. Because to me, I understand they feel that, okay, I can at least get paid, I can get some bit of exposure. But we saw what happened when we tried that. They tried that model. The crowd didn't like them.
They picked the wrong fighters. What they were hustling backwards. What they were trying to do was they were trying to get a casual audience to take a look at Billy Joe Saunders because Saunders might be a potential opponent for Canelo, and Devin Haney because Devin Haney is like a hot prospect on the come up, young guy.
Right.
And the problem though is the fact that Saunders and Haney don't really have fan-friendly styles like that. They don't really have casual-friendly styles. They just picked the wrong. They were trying to build up some hype around Saunders and Haney. All they really did was make a lot of people be like, "Why the fuck are these guys like just sticking jabs and like playing hot potato?" In other words,
yeah, right. They call
like
it
they're playing fucking freeze tag in there. Like, what is this? I want to see somebody fight.
Yeah.
That's just the issue is the fact that they just filled the wrong undercard with the wrong fighters because they were trying to get those fighters like more hype, but ultimately what they should have been doing was just filling it with knockout artists so that they could get casual audiences be like, oh shit, like this is knockout after knockout, like this is what the pros can do, this is what the real fighters can do, like hell yeah, sign me up. They should have had Michael Hunter or Hrgovic or Srisaket guys that when they have an overmatched opponent, they don't just outbox them and school them for 12 rounds. They knock them the fuck out in about 3 or 4, and painfully and dramatically at that. That's what they should have done. They didn't do it that way, and ultimately, I think it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point, and I want to say this too. I think, in my view, we all agree this is all. I'm sure some of you might not agree or disagree, but this was a money grab by the zone because they were desperate for to recoup some of the money they've already lost already, in my view, and they need to get subscribers. So, what did you guys thoughts on that, Chris Sugar?
That KSI and Paul Logan Paul. I'll get his name mixed up all the time.
It's all good, man.
Oh boy. I have mixed emotions because I understand business. I'm a businessman myself. I understand business because, listen, this is where boxing is going. You had 12,000 surfers, sneakerheads, and skateboarders, and that was the target crowd. And Eddie Hearn knows that. And those type of guys, they spend money. You had, I believe, 10,000 tickets sold for Kovalev and Canelo. You had 12,000 tickets sold for KS1 and Logan Paul. So what's wrong with that picture? And you you're right, Dan. I agree with you. You know, he was cloud chasing. You know, Hearn. He's a businessman, and I'll probably be in the same boat. If I can get those guys have millions of followers, and you may not like it, but at the end of the day, it's business. You know, they packed that arena, 12,000. You know, what Staples Center hold somebody 18, 19,000, maybe 20.
21,000 before a boxing event is usually 18,000 typically. 18,000
Hey, for two YouTubers to sell 12,000 plus and people watching and one of the highest rated shows, hey, not bad. You know, that's that. You know, if you're an astute boxing enthusiast, you're gonna be like, that's a disaster. And I said that, but these are the sign of the times,
Yo,
man.
I can't hear anything from what you're saying.
What you say?
You can hear him? You can hear anything on there?
I can't hear anything. I could see his icon moving. Maybe it's just on my end. I'm not. I
It's
could
probably
hear
your
him.
end because we.
I hear him. I hear him.
Yeah,
Can everybody hear me?
we hear you. Kurt.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. I got headphones on. I want to make sure.
It's all good.
It's a blessing that is a curse. Like I said, surfers, skateboarders, and sneakerheads was in attendance in abundance. And hey, this is not going to be the first time. It's going to be a trend, and this is where boxing is going. It's going to be sports and entertainment, and not only for wrestling. You can see the trickling down effect in boxing as well. It was a farce. It was a parody, but boxing always been like that. I remember forming 5 fighters in one night. And Joe Louis used to wrestle with bears, and I'm exaggerating, alligators and all that. So
yeah. I mean, there are going to be some farces here and there. I agree. I mean,
right.
Ali when he fought Ruiz-Aj, we knew they had that exhibition bout. Many people don't know that happened years ago. You know, and Ali fought Antonio Inoue, you know, wrestler versus boxer match. So,
I mean, the main thing about it though is they got to be able to try to find people with big enough audiences like Paul and KSI had that actually have problems with each other. And then they'll have to agree to it in the first place. You know, it was almost like a perfect storm of circumstances that these two wound up fighting each other. But how many rivalries are there really like that necessarily on YouTube or some of these other streaming platforms and such? You know what I mean?
I'll tell you one thing, man. YouTube is such a powerful and gigantic platform. There's a lot of beefs with million+ subscriber YouTube users. There's beefs everywhere. So
yeah. No, but I'm referring more so to like people that have followings like those two though.
Right.
Like, you know, they.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Stupid high followers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's rare to me anyway. I mean, there's like a cottage industry on YouTube of these people. They're called like drama channels where they talk about like, oh, like so and so said that so and so bit their style and blah blah blah. You know, they talk about like, you know, issues that certain YouTubers may have, but I mean, a lot of these guys, like, I'm not sure if they really have the heart to actually fight it out. That's the whole thing. You know?
I mean, look. At the end of the day, they chose boxing. It is good in one aspect of it, but I mean, look. Here's the thing, though. Some people argue that it's going to bring a lot of casuals into the sport, but I don't see it that way. Here's the problem with that: the casuals that they brought in are those that support them no matter what they do, and what they do is that they're not full-time fighters. So once they fight, and that's a one-off, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to do a one-off. Even KSI even pointed this out after the fight. He said, look, I'm done, man. I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm making money, you know. I'm making music. My family's well fed. I'm doing great. I don't need to do boxing.
Yeah, but you know what?
That's the thing. These guys that do these videos, they don't, because they, you know, their shit is monetized so heavily. Like PewDiePie don't got to fucking fight nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the Yeah, but them guys, what's up, guys? Yeah, but them guys signed with the Zone with a contract. You know what I mean? They signed with the Zone with a contract, right? For like they pay £10 for registration, and they pay another like I don't know £20 maybe for the year, whatever. So that's already set. They already made their money. That's nothing to them guys. So the Zone on that way, yeah, they got new subscribers, right? So yeah, whether they're there for boxing, they got a whole heap of new subscribers. So them guys don't care because they're rich. You know, there was so many YouTubers. What I was coming up with the whole thing was that YouTubers get respect. Now I go to the media events, right? And you've heard from Fred, and you heard maybe from Blue Blood how they disrespect visual media. They really do. They really do disrespect visual media, and we put in priorities. Like the newspapers, tabloids will go first. Then you have certain like fight hype, behind the gloves, they go over, and then everyone else after that. You know what I mean? They disrespect digital media, and then you got these two YouTubers that really and truly they don't really like, but they don't like, but they can't do nothing about the numbers. Like they can't do nothing about the numbers. These guys are in the millions, right? So when they come over, they because of their numbers, they bring the power. Now I'm saying this, right? These people over here are established, right? So they want KSI and Logan Paul's numbers, but they don't really respect them, right? And I'm saying after this, as they sat back and said, "Wow, we need to look at these YouTubers and really respect them." I'm like, yeah, but we've been knowing that though. We've been knowing that. But as you see on YouTube, they're trying to regulate us. But I'm telling you, for the zone, it's a winner. For the zone, it's a winner. Like they've got new subscribers, whether it's MMA or whatever. I think like they made a winner. But really and truly, as boxing fans, is it better for the sport? It doesn't change anything. Maybe for the zone to show they've got numbers for their executives to say, look at this, look how much new numbers we've got. And then and they got Anthony Joshua and Ruiz at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? So really and truly, if it comes down to the numbers, they're doing pretty well. They're doing pretty well. So new eyes on boxing. Yeah, you ask this question: is Logan Paul or KSI gonna be Anthony Joshua Ruiz fight? Probably. That's, you know what I'm saying. So and you got the other guy, KSI's manager, trainer. He's a pro, right? He's with Jeff Mayweather, so that constantly going to be going there. But I think, if anything, I think people need to be looking at people who do YouTube, really digital media, seriously. Say, you know what, we need to pay them more respect because they're letting one and two like Radio Raheem. That was good to see Radio Raheem out there, right? She was actually thinking about quitting the other day, right? What's his name again? Ellie Sackback's been marginalized because of situations, and that's what they can do to you, right? Me myself, I don't really get along with some people in the media, so I don't go to certain events, right? But that's what I feel like. Maybe they might show more respect to digital media. That might come out of it. So
yeah, you know, that's a good point, EJ. You may have an interesting point there. What I was going to say is that, you know, you mentioned, you actually allude to the numbers, the zone's numbers. Me personally, I have every reason to believe that their numbers is not as good as they hope to be for the annual year. But I will say this though, I will say that the zone, in my view, actually put on the best cards this year, far more than anyone else. In my view, this is me, a guy who supports the BBC. I will tell you that.
So far, Wilder, with this, how many fights did Wilder have this year? Did he fight Fury this year? Was that this year? No, okay. How many fights did Wilder fought this year? Wilder fought this year? This is the first fight he's fighting?
This is the second.
Second time. He's fighting Ortiz next.
Brazil.
He fought Brazil early this year.
He beat Brazil. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he knocked. Oh yeah. He knocked out Brazil. That was good. That was quick, right?
Yeah. I mean, look. The Fox. You know, Fox is actually. You know, Fox on PBC. They're crunching in huge numbers.
Yeah.
They actually, you know, don't get me wrong, they actually put on some very good fights this year too.
Look, Errol Spence, and look, man, you know, Errol Spence, Pacquiao, you know what I'm saying? You can't take away from the fight there, like, you know.
Absolutely, I agree. I think
the quality of fights, seriously, the quality of fights, I think maybe Fox was better. But like the more big, like mega fights, like people were really like Canelo, Kovalev, and you know, the Joshua one coming up, and then they got a lot of a big fight, the KSI fight.
Yeah.
I thought in terms of
they had the Nui, Doné, Progress, they had a lot.
I mean, the thing about it is, like, sometimes you can match guys that theoretically should put on good fights, you know, because they may have in the past, but it sometimes doesn't turn out that way.
That's right.
And then sometimes it's the reverse. Sometimes there's two guys that you match up, and you know, it might be an okay fight, and then it turns out to be like a classic. It turns out to be like a fight of the year.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing, though. The BBC has put on some very good cards too. That's why, in my view, it's a close gap between number one versus number two.
Man.
I don't think
checking
so.
out for Charlo Harrison.
Nah, they were pay-per-view. A lot of those fights were pay-per-view. I mean, the first half, they had J-Rock, Williams. That was a good fight.
Let me ask you a question. You think the zone might change that? I mean, they're doing this 10-year thing. Don't you think they might change it up when things get to? Because what it is, right? Let me ask you. They might wipe out. They're looking to wipe out the competition. And then they're the only ones, and then they might just bring back pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying?
They're going to bring pay-per-view. Let me tell you.
Technically, what they do is pay-per-view. To be honest, I mean,
well, here's the thing though. I think D-Style myself, I can tell you this. I think D-Style myself, we got some feedback question from the zone. Yeah. Should we be reasonably should price our product? Should it be at this price? Should it be at that price, et cetera, et cetera? I think they're aiming for. They're going to increase the subscription fee. Watch.
Absolutely. You know why I say that? Because I tell you what, I've seen this model before, right? It was Box Nation, right? So Box Nation, it was basically come to the channel, right? Then they had this whole thing. They let you see a whole heap of free fights. Then they add at £10 a year, £10 a month, right? Then they went to £20, right? And then they said, now you're gonna have to.
It wasn't 20, it's 12. Man.
Yeah, 12. Okay. Then remember,
that's only £2.
Remember, they started saying, now, even though you're a Box Nation fan, we want to make you pay-per-view. They started touching pay-per-view. And people was like, hold on a minute. You said it was just £10 a year or two. And then they said you had to register for £10. And then you have to pay another £10 per month for the year, right? Then after that, then they started, right? They said, you know what, we're going to do pay-per-views. People was like, what? Then the whole thing shut down. So I've seen
it. They never did pay-per-views in the end. I think
they wanted to. But
they want Fury Klitschko was meant to be their first people. What happened was
they put on
one time, guys. Wait, hold on. One time, guys.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Go ahead, EJ. Finish up.
What I'm trying to say to you, what is the end goal? The end goal is to wipe out the competition. Viacom, they've got money, there's pouring in money. They haven't really got no thing. They're just trying to pour in. It's almost like Xbox and PlayStation pour as much money down. Now, it doesn't matter about how it looks. Just put enough money down. Hopefully, people gravitate to that, and then wipe out the competition. And then we're the only ones here. That's what I feel they're trying to do. You know what I mean? And they're trying to fool the people. But eventually, they're just gonna do the pay-per-view model as well, because eventually, boxing in itself, if you to get the biggest money, they basically they're losing money. But for them to say they want to recoup money, they're gonna have to do pay-per-views.
They have to. And I've been saying this for a while now, and a lot of people call me the zone hater for saying this, but I'm just looking at the logistics of it. Yeah. And it is too. And look at Eddie Hearn. He actually agrees with me, even though he's had a bad week. I'm gonna tell you why. Because now Muhammad and I, we all touched on this earlier before you came on, EJ. About the Joshua Ruiz fight, the pay-per-view fees went up £5 more, and not only that, Hearn has been going around. He's been going all over the Atlantic, always over here in our shores, and he's been saying the pay-per-view is dead. It's dead. It's dead. And here he is advocating for more pay-per-view fights. So
that's real good looking.
Well, in the UK though, that's over here though. Yeah, that's what he's up to.
No, I understand that, but he didn't say that though. He said that as a whole. Because saying if we could wipe out the American pay-per-view market, we could do it in the UK. That's what he was applying. But now, so now it's like it's not. I said this many times. It's like, you know what, guys? I just don't see how this is going to work. Why? It's just how in the hell are they going to pay out this much amount of money to these fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin and rely on recouping that money based on subscription fees? How's that going to happen? That's not going to work.
Not going to work.
Guys are only like multi-billionaires. I don't know. Like that's what I heard. Like a couple of people, but it depends.
Hold on, guys. Hold up, real quick. I'm gonna address this nigga. I'm gonna block this nigga. This nigga's always hating on his own. Who the fuck are you, nigga? Don't need a chance. Who are you, nigga? Tell me who you are. I don't want your troll username.
No, man, that's okay, Dan. No, that's okay, Dan. Bring him up, man. Yo, man, you let him come in. I'll take myself up. Bring him in. Let him talk.
No, that's okay, EJ. That's okay. It's okay. I want to ask him real quick. I know it's been a while since I've been back, but I ain't lost my fire. But it's all good, dog, man. Let me know who you are, then we can talk. We can chat, nigga.
Yeah. I mean, you always gonna have trolls, but this is. Boxing works like this. This is the, structure of boxing to build the star. Now, I got the zone. I like the zone because I go where the boxing is. I love boxing.
I can't hear
you can't hear me?
Yeah,
we hear you, Kurt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thanks. March, I'm gonna pay the $100 up front because I love the zone, man. I love the World Boxing Super Series. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to look at Donaire and Inouye. That's just my love for the sport. But the key to building a star in boxing is for him or her to fight on network TV. Fox is a monster. They have the money because they have subsidiaries companies. They have other companies, secondary companies. so they can front the money. But see, the zone, they're losing money, even though they have powerful backers and billionaires. You want to see a return on your investment. And I'm gonna tell you what Al Heyman has powerful friends and investors because he put the Michael Jackson tour together and New Edition. He used to do the Superfest. It was a big Budweiser Superfest music concert series. He went from that into other businesses, and he got investors. They saw return on their money when he put together the Floyd Mayweather McGregor fight and the Floyd Mayweather Pacquiao fight. Investors was so happy with him, they invested more of their money, so they believe in Al Heyman. That's the key. And Fox is a monster company where they can have fights on Channel 5. Like, it's wintertime, you're going to have not J-Rock, he's fighting in January. You're going to have Harrison and Charlo in a grudge match. That's a good TV fight. Now, if that fight is exciting, the more fights they put on Fox and the more exciting the fights will be, they will slowly, gradually bring the casual fan back. And somebody is going to be a star that we don't know about. Somebody is going to come up from the woodworks like Tyson did. He fought on Channel 7, ABC in America. He became a star, just like Leonard and Ali. They fought on network TV. So the network TV is the key to building a brand and building a star. Once you have that star, then it's all over with. Floyd became a star because of social media. So if I was a fighter, I would. Can you imagine Canelo fighting on Fox on primetime TV? Can you imagine that? Yeah. But he don't care because he's getting money. But he's a Mexican star, and I was arguing with a Canelo fan. He's not a crossover star. He's a Mexican star, but he's getting good money. $35 million a fight. On the zone. But how can they see returns and profit? How? Yeah. Well, he only selling 10,000 tickets.
Yeah, half his fan base don't get the chance to see him. That's what these guys were saying. Another thing as well, which because you were talking about the KSI and Logan Paul, is Eddie Hearn was being disrespectful to Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney. Said, "Yo, said the Logan Paul was better than their fight." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Yo, bro."
Well, you know what, EJ? He wasn't lying, though. He wasn't lying.
No, but he's the one to choose. Yeah, but he's the one to choose the matchup. But what I'm trying to say is that you ask fighters to go on a card, because they're real fighters. But you see Eddie Hearn, he got no respect. How you gonna? And the reason why he tried to big them up, right? Thinking they got to return the fight. They looked at him like, no, we're not. We're done. We're just doing our one thing and we go about our business, right? They're earning millions. Why would they want to get in there and get their head knocked off? They're not stupid, Like, and you got Joe Saunders and
Logan Paul's kind of stupid. I could see him.
But what I'm saying is that their management don't gonna let them get hurt because they make so much money on YouTube. But listen to this, right? So you're Devin Haney and he puts you on this show and he goes this, that, he was a bit flat, Billy Joe Saunders, this, that, the other. And then to me, I reckon their stocks went down if there was like stocks in boxing, their stock went down. I was like, hold on a minute, one of the biggest fights of the year. Multiple millions of people watching, and Eddie Hearn's gonna come up and say, "Well, KSI and Logan Paul was better." I'm like, "Yo, fuck Eddie Hearn, bro. Like, Eddie Hearn, like this guy's killing me."
Let me tell you something real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me tell you something real quick. I'm gonna tell you, Devin Haney. I'm a member of a certain community. Devin Haney, and they're Devin Haney fans. I'm not a big Devin Haney fan. He makes a lot of mistakes, man. And he better stop calling out Lomachenko. He gonna get carved up like a Thanksgiving Day turkey. He makes a lot of mistakes, man.
I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do, though. He's supposed,
but I interviewed his father real quick. I had to seriously with Haney fight and the Billy Joe Sanders fight. I had to go in the bathroom and put cold water on my face.
See?
Because the fight was so boring.
It was bad.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was.
Seriously.
Gotta get that 5-hour energy in you and be like, all right.
I'm telling you, and listen, I'm getting older. I got the Grandpa Simpson syndrome where I could just fall asleep at any given time. Listen, man, I had to put cold water on my face just to stay up and watch those fights.
Yeah, I said it before you were on, EJ. Yeah. I just was basically saying that like Hearn just picked the wrong guys to put on the undercard, man. He should have filled it with knockout artists, guys that get fighters up out of there.
Yeah, but no,
in order to attract them to the
they had Lomachenko in the Mayweather and Pacquiao fight, right? How that go?
That's true. That's true.
But that was not a bad.
Who did he
That
fight?
was not a bad.
But if I didn't bring out, no one would remember though. But he was an undercard in that fight, and it was like, yo, and now Lomachenko.
Wait a minute. On the Mayweather and Pacquiao?
Was it Mayweather?
Yeah, he was on that
It was.
Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Who did he fight though?
Exactly.
He fought the Thai guy.
See?
Oh, Piripino.
Like
Yeah.
Yo, bro, you see up to the tell you, bro.
Yeah, right, Piripino.
Sometimes,
But that's the thing. Lomachenko wasn't even known as a knockout artist, at least not back then. So I mean, that was kind of a bad decision off top. But I mean, what I was referring to, EJ, like they should have put Danny Jacobs against somebody. Just put him against a fucking guy that's ranked 50 and watch him get his head knocked off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
At least a competitive fight. Yeah, a competitive.
No. Like I'm not even talking about a competitive. I'm talking about put fighters in there that are known to excite the crowd, that can get a casual audience.
Like,
You can't do that.
All those casuals that were in the house for that, and a lot of the people watching for the first time from you, like that normally watch YouTube fucking tech reviews and shit like that. They don't give a fuck about technical boxing. They want to see somebody get world star. They want to see somebody get their head bounced off the cat. They want to see Street Saket obliterate somebody and then have them vomit all over the ring.
Wilder knocking somebody cool on the canvas. Like he did look like first. They want to see type of fight.
Yeah, because Devin Haney, like the next Mayweather and stuff like that. But Mayweather, if you think about Mayweather, I know like people like
they really need to stop that.
Devin Haney
ain't no kind of next Mayweather.
I agree. They
need to chill on that one.
They need.
Hold on, let EH finish. Wait, Jay, finish up, man.
They need guys coming at them to make them good. They need some bulls, but you need the name. Like that's why they. Showtime always used to put Soko Karass. I was like, why do you always put this guy in the car? Because the guy comes forward and comes to fight. It don't matter if he wins or lose. Soko Karass is swinging punches. You know, Marcus Madonna, them type of guys. They're just throwing haymakers. You know what I'm saying? And people like, yo, who that do that? But Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney, they're just pure boxers. They put them on the card. That's what you see. Now Eddie Hearn ain't got no clue, bro. That guy ain't got no clue.
What he was trying to do, EJ, he was trying to get more eyes on Saunders and Haney to build them up. What he should have been doing was trying to get more eyes on the sport to build the sport up.
I agree. Absolutely. I agree. That's a good point. Yeah, but let me say, speaking of Lomachenko, I want to get into this real quickly. I know pound for pound is a very subjective topic. But the reason why I don't want to bring this up because we all know what Canelo did to Sergey Kovalev. I want to talk about what now. Yeah, I know. I see him. I'm gonna block his ass in a minute. He's a bitch, and I'm gonna dare his ass and reveal who he is. If he's man enough to do it. So if he's not, I'm gonna boot his ass off of here. So he's probably fucking H money. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. But anyways, pound for pound, man. Pound for pound. I know it's a very subjective topic. Top three. The reason I want to bring this up because of what Canelo was able to do with Kovalev, which, by the way, I don't think it was a fixed fight. I don't know why anybody would suggest that. But anyhow,
salty. That's why.
Yeah, they're salty. Yeah, I agree on man. But Lomachenko, in my view, this is my top three. And again, this is objective. We can all agree or disagree. In my view, number one is Canelo. Number two is Inoue. Number three is Lomachenko.
Crawford?
I'm just naming top three right now. Four is Crawford.
I thought you had Crawford.
No, I had him at one point, but I like Terrence, but he hasn't fight the opponents that I want to see him fight. I can't hold. I mean, it's not his fault.
Yeah, you mean you don't want to see him fight the infomercial blender in his next fight?
Well, I'm a Crawford machine.
Doesn't it sound like an infomercial blender? Like for only 4 easy payments in 1995, you can get 3 machines.
I mean, look,
there's more.
The reason why I got Lomachenko number 3 because at least Lomachenko is fighting somebody that is a name-worthy fighter like Luke Campbell. At least he's fighting him. He's fighting the Jose Pedrazas. At least he's fighting the Jorge Linares. I mean, we can all agree to disagree on what type of caliber opponents they are. But at least they're better than some of the opponents that Crawford's been fighting as of late. I'm just being honest.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, so that's why I'm
going to Crawford.
Let me finish up, Let me finish up real quickly. I'm just saying, though, number one, Canelo, because he was able to go up 2 weight classes to beat Kovalev. He was still a very respected champion, even though he was vulnerable. Number 2 is Inoue, because what he was able to do, he moved up from super flyweight and essentially beat all the best bantamweights out there, with the exception of Solana Tete. That's the only guy left there. And
he's not the only guy left, but he's
a couple guys. He's one of the two. One of the two, in my view. And number 3 is Lomachenko. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I was gonna say, I think that's not a bad list. I'd probably just put Crawford ahead of Lomachenko, and I'd probably put Nui 3 at the moment. The reason I don't put Nui higher than 3, I think if he had the guys like Roman, I know like those fights didn't happen, and I don't blame him, but whatever reason they were tied up. If he fought guys like Ruiz-Aj, Gonzalez, he didn't fight any of those guys. Like if you look at 115, Quadras, Ruiz-Aj, Gonzalez, Estrada, there's a lot of those names. If you add those to his resume, his resume is stacked for like 16 of whatever fights he's had, whatever. I think it's 18 or 17 fights.
19.
But is it 19 now? All right. Yeah. So Inoue, I think it's number 3. I'd probably put Inoue higher than Lomachenko, but I got Crawford there just based on what he's done in the past. But if he keeps fighting guys like Khan and then Mean Machine, and I'm gonna have to do what you do there and probably reduce him, because you can't keep someone that high if he's not fighting the best opposition. But it's not his fault. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I got Canelo.
You got he's got guys like Adrian Hernandez, Kashi, and he's got obviously Payano, Emmanuel Rodriguez, a fight that I thought he was going to lose. By the way, even Iota thought he was going to lose that fight. I
didn't think he was going to lose. I thought that was a stern test, though. I thought that was a real good test.
I thought we both agreed on that. I thought Emmanuel Rodriguez was an outboxer dude, but he dispatched him in 2 rounds. I'm like, what the fuck?
Blew him out.
He just went through him, and Nui, in my view, like he essentially went through the bantamweights. Not all the guys. Obviously,
here's the thing. Like the division has filled up a little bit since he first entered it.
Right.
It's become more interesting because you've had the rise of Ubali. You've had Casimiro there now. Tete's been there, but he ducked the Donaire smoke. And then you have.
I know you don't like Tete.
You have Neri. No, I like Tete just fine, but I don't think he was. I'm skeptical of whether he was actually injured. I don't think he was.
So you're skeptical about that. All right. Yeah. It's possible.
He was in the house watching Donaire fight Young, and I didn't see a sling. Supposedly he injured his elbow or shoulder or something.
That was fishy.
Well, here's the thing. So according to Nonito's wife, she said that he was heavy. That he wasn't going to make the weight.
Okay.
So he was that might have been it.
Disparity. That's what he was worried about, right?
Yeah.
Disparity. All right, fair enough. But look, Tete, and anyways, a fight that needs to happen and has to happen. If Tete's playing some fucking games, or even anyways playing games, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go at either single one of them.
Well, Tete's got to fight. He's got to fight Casimiro next month, so that's not an easy task.
That's true. That's
Ask
true.
DJ about Casimiro, man. He met him in person.
Yeah, I was gonna ask one of you guys, man. Is Nettie still in the division at 118 pounds? Because last time I checked, he was still in the rankings.
No, he's at 118. So he's fighting with Emmanuel Rodriguez on the Wilder-Ortiz card.
And he could possibly be mandatory, right?
That one because Neri is too big to be a damn bantamweight. Number 1, number 2, had trouble making weight there. So I don't know. He's gonna last there, man. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, the Neri Rodriguez fight is supposed to be eliminated full.
Can I see something? I gotta drop off. But Fight Doctor, I think he's got something to see. Let him in. I can see you guys soon, man.
All right, take care, man.
Let me jump in real quick. So to me, I respect everyone's opinion. It's just the way my criteria is by the sports writers, whatever. For me, pound for pound is the most skilled fighter in the sport, right? And the 2 fights you mentioned with Inoue and Sergio Kovalev, like there's too much stuff going on about, right? The rehydration clause. In boxing, they have weight limits anyway in the thing, right? The rehydration clause, the fact that Kovalev, he wasn't Kovalev to me. He wasn't the same guy, and Canelo beat him. To me, it was like I know he achieved that, but in my opinion, it was the circumstances. I can't put him in the pound for pound where he is. Like I got Crawford still number 1, and then also with Inoue for me that was one of the best opponents that he's faced and the best fight, and his face was busted up. Now, to go back to the most skilled fighter in the sport. Now he coming in with all the accolades, and he has achieved that. Like, whatever reason, I'm probably number 5, maybe number 6, wherever, or wherever people, top 5. Like, he stays where he is, to me, in my opinion. He's still got work to do. But for me, I'm just saying, like, Crawford, I know he's not active, right? If it was an active pound thing, I'd say fine. But for me, it's still, Crawford still sits there above, because A-class opposition, he makes them look like B-class competition. And I always going to go with that. Mayweather used to do the same thing to a lot of his opponents as well. And Roy Jones and even when Sugar Ray Robinson was number 1, that go even far back there, Michael Nunn, or whoever was pound for pound, James Toney, same thing. Like, they used to make all them top oppositions look like B-class. And now that standards is the way I say it. I'm not going to take away, you know, a lot of people believe that Canelo's number 1 and that will solidify his number 1. But my thing is, like, I still feel like they have work to do, especially Canelo and Inoue. I feel right now, okay, after this, he's over the bone, got smashed, or maybe not in Inoue's situation. I want to see what he does next. There's a South African guy who's fighting. So Tete's fighting Casemiro, and there's an African guy in the division. I want to see some of them guys fight. I want to see some of them fights, and then maybe I might be wrong. I'm a bit harsh with it, right? And then with Canelo, I want to see what he does next. Does he fight Beterbiev? Let me ask him. I'll reiterate this. If he fights Beterbiev and beats Beterbiev, right, without no fucking rehydration clause, he undoubtedly, in my opinion, becomes number 1, 100%. If he goes down that super middleweight division, right, and beats Gilbert Ramirez, no, Verdo. I would like to say Verdo. What's his name again? Benavides. If he goes down and beats Benavides at 68, no rehydration clause, I will put him number 1. So that's just where I feel. Crawford, you know, the aerospace thing looked like it's, I don't know where that's going. Maybe that he might get a Pacquiao fight. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe, but there's stuff for the guys to do. That's just my opinion. Someone else.
All right, well, let me ask you, ZJ. I'm going to challenge you on that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Say that the reason why you kind of don't want to rank. I'm not saying rank. You don't want to put Canelo number 1 because of the rehydration clause.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I understand your stance on that one. But let me ask you this: Floyd Mayweather, when he fought Canelo, he put a catchweight clause in that contract. Did you have Floyd ranked number 1 pound for pound after that fight?
Oh well, this the thing here, Dan. Yeah. Let's say that fight that he did do that, but then you could look at the body of work with some of the other guys that he did that with, and also at that point, I'm not too sure if he was powerful. I think Andre Ward might have been. It was. I think
Andre Ward was number 2 at that time.
Okay, but if that was the case when he did that, it's a case of, did he do that for all these fights? And Canelo's been doing it for the fights. You see what I'm saying? Like if he did that to Canelo, I don't. If he did it to Canelo, Canelo was dumb enough to take the thing and take the contract of the thing. Yeah, that's his business. I could take points with him. But but look, in hindsight now that you look at it, it makes for it better, doesn't it?
Let me say this, though, man. I think it was number 1 either way, even though I didn't like him. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
One fighter in the world, pound for pound. Either way it goes. But what I'm asking you, since you use that catch weight or the rehydration way to hold Canelo back, is it fair to do that for Floyd because he did that to Canelo?
No, but I hear what you're saying.
Right. What EJ's saying is that Floyd was pound for pound even before that. With Canelo, it's like people are trying to rank him as a pound for pounder off of the Kovalev fight, but you have to temper that.
Also, Dan, I was Dan saying though, but also and that's bringing a whole point. But also before Floyd, I don't know how many catch weights he did or rehydration clause he did that. He wasn't known for that, but Canelo is known for that shit, right? And for me, I take points off it, and Sergio Kovalev, when you see him fight, he weren't the same guy no more. Like he just really isn't the same guy no more. I'm not gonna say he whoever Canelo beat, he beat. But it's now there's a guy in his division who is on his game, and that is Beterbiev, right? And everyone knows it. If he fights him next, right, and beats him in split, you can't say nothing. You can't if there's no rehydration clause, right, and beats him. Verdo down there, not really maybe Gilbert Ramirez, not really him. But if he beats Benavides down at 168, no one can tell me nothing, bro. If he beats Beterbiev at 175, you can't say nothing. What are you gonna say then? Like, what really can you take away from the man? You know what I mean? So that's where I stand to that. In a way, he's there. I want to see what Inoue does next, because like right now he's basically near. Is he undisputed or close to? If he's not,
he's a unified champion.
He's got two of the 4 belts and
if he goes in,
The Ring magazine also.
That division is hot, right? If he goes in and becomes undisputed, I'll put him number 1. So that's just my criteria with them two, right? That's the way I see it.
But
okay, cool. Well, Nyota, what's your take? Who's your top 3 pound for pound?
For me, it's Inoue number 1, and it's not particularly close.
Okay.
Because I just think that, okay, Canelo moved up 2 weight classes, knocked out Kovalev. Nice, very, very nice. Inoue moved up 2 weight classes and knocked out the number 1 guy, Omar Narvaez, without any catchweight clauses. He did that about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, almost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's been there, done that. 3-weight champion.
Can I say something real quickly to kind of point that out? Navarez was a long-reigning junior bantamweight champion. He hasn't lost in a long time, and he was a favorite to beat Inoue in that fight. So I wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, he was like a 3-1, I think. Something like that. But I mean, he was the man of the division. He was the number 1. Like, there was nobody else that you could rank above him at the time, and he was undefeated at flyweight and super flyweight. The only loss he had suffered previous to that was a 12-round decision loss to Donaire, where he actually made Donaire look really bad in the fight over the course of it. And then beyond that, I mean, Inoue beat Ryoichi Taguchi. Taguchi eventually became the man at 108. The man, not a champion, but the champion at 108. Yeah. And then at 115, there was a couple of guys missing there because the WBC was on some shenanigans of ordering mandatories, and because Cao Yafai, the WBA champion, ducked him. Gerwin Akaas, the IBF champion, ducked him. His own mandatories, Jamie Conlon, ducked him. Rex Cho ducked him. So he was getting ducked by quite a few guys at super flyweight. Then he, jumped into the WBSS. Or actually, before he jumped into the WBSS, obliterated Jamie McDonnell, a guy that was never been stopped before. Obliterated Emmanuel Rodriguez, a guy that had never been, down amateur or pro. Obliterated a guy, Juan Carlos Payano, that had over 400 amateur fights, never was down amateur or pro, and was a former champion. So he took out 2 former champions and a prime champion over the course of 4 rounds. Crawford hasn't done that. Canelo hasn't done that. Lomachenko hasn't done that. I'm a big fan of Estrada. Estrada hasn't done that. And, he blazed through him. Went in there against Donaire. He was trying to, I think, prove a point, trying to get a knockout. I mean, arguably he did in the 10th round if the ref hadn't fucked it up. But in spite of that, he whooped Donaire's ass. And he outboxed him. And that would, honestly, I think there was a lot of nostalgia for Donaire, which is why a lot of people had that fight closer than it really should have been. Because Inoue pretty cleanly and clearly outboxed him almost every round of that fight. There was only about 2 or 3 rounds where Donaire was even really, you could really edge it to him. Beyond that point, he got his ass kicked.
Right.
But
what about your number 2, number 3?
But number 2, I'd put Estrada. With Estrada, it has more so to do with the fact that his level of ability, his level of class, his level of poise in the ring, as well as the way that he outboxed Srisaket. A lot of people, they want to hold Srisaket against Inoue. Well, Estrada went in there and schooled Srisaket. Schooled him. He said, kind of like how Larry Merchant used to say, he not only schooled him, he flunked him. He got him at it. He just gave him a lesson, man. He gave him a total lesson in there. And beyond that, I mean, if you look at his overall body of work, unified champion at 112, had competed with Chocolatito in his prime and arguably beat him in his prime down at 108, and he's a Ring magazine champion at 115. So he has a good body of work behind him, and he's been dominant recently. So with him, I think he maybe lacks a couple of the names. He also beat Quadras, of course. A good boxing class there.
Very good fight. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's number 2. I think he gets slightly more so off of eye test than achievement entirely. But although he's got some hella good achievements, as I just mentioned. Number 3 is gonna be then Canelo. And the reason why he's a little bit further down than some people may have him, like yourself, Dan, is just the fact of what EJ said. It's just you have to temper that win. It's a good win over Kovalev, but you also have to temper it with what he the fact that he stipulated in the it's like if you want all of the reward, you have to accept all of the risk. What Canelo is doing with these contract stuff is he's mitigating a ton of the risk and still expecting all of the reward. Well, you'll get all of the monetary reward, but I'm not going to give you all of the critical reward. I'm not going to do that, because that would be dishonest if I did that. So, and particularly because all these other fighters ain't doing it. Crawford's not putting dehydration clauses on people. Estrada's not putting dehydration clauses on people. Inoue's not doing it. Lomachenko's not doing it. You know, all these guys not doing that bullshit. So Canelo is like applying an entirely different set of rules other than what everybody else is playing by to his fight. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, you that's some great achievements, but those achievements are calculated to such a minute degree that ultimately I have to temper the amount of credit that I give you for him. You know, if you wanted me to round out the 5, I'd probably like toss in maybe like Crawford and Usyk in there. But
yeah,
that's just me.
Well, let me ask you this then. I'm gonna change a little bit. This is just me being just another individual who has a question here about your number 2 ranking on Francisco Estrada. Yeah, I agree. He definitely be in pound for pound, but some would argue why is he more deserving of number 2 ranking on your list more so than, let's say, Lomachenko? Let me eliminate Lomachenko, but let's say Alexander Usyk, for example. Why is he more deserving than him in a way?
Well, I think that Streets of Kid is a single better win than anything Usyk has ever done.
Okay. And Usyk himself is cleaned out of division. He was the undisputed champion. He beat the best of best at cruiserweight. Moved up.
No, that's really good. I don't necessarily. I think ultimately Usyk has proven himself to be almost like the Streets of Kid of that division. You know, I don't think there was anybody in the division. I don't think Dorticos is as good as Streets of Kid. I don't think that Brady's is as good. I don't think that Gassiev is as good. They're really good fighters, but I don't think they're as good. And also, Estrada was moving up in order to do that as well. That needs to be taken into account.
What about Michael Hunter? And what about Kowalski?
Oh, Kovnowski. I'm sorry. Like, or no, wait. Who?
Yeah, Glowacki. Christopher Glowacki.
Glowacki. Okay, there you go. I was like, you were confusing me for a second. You were confusing me.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, Glowacki, the first guy he beat for the
that's the thing. That's a great body of work at one particular division. Estrada's got a good body of work across a few.
True, that's true. I mean, some people will argue that. So
it's tit for tat. I wouldn't necessarily like. I can understand the argument for Usyk being higher. You know, I can also understand the argument for not including Usyk entirely just because he's a heavyweight now.
That's true. That is
eliminate him just based off of that.
That is a good point. In fact, that Usyk has not been active as of late. He's been battling injuries, and don't let me get into that Tyrone Spong thing.
That's actually a good point too, Dan. The whole injury thing, because a lot of people they get it kind of twisted, where it's like when you have guys with a certain degree of achievements that are kind of even on the even edge. You know, some guys may it'll be fight to fight. Some guys may go up and go down in rankings just fight to fight because of the fact that, you know, if one guy's active and one guy isn't, where if you're inactive or if you're fighting competition that's so far below you that you can't rate, you have to give this other guy more credit because they're fighting tougher competition and still beating them just as impressively or more so. Then I mean, that's just what it is. You know, it can be a tough marker. And Usyk, you know, in his last fight, he looked okay, but I don't know
if he looked okay, to be honest with you. He looked very slow because all that extra weight he put on. He didn't look like he was
I thought he was kind of in cruise control and he still won the fight, you know, pretty handily, but I didn't necessarily see anything that was like, whoa, like everybody, he put heavyweight on notice and everybody would watch out for him, you know? You definitely shouldn't underestimate him, especially by virtue of his technical skill. But I don't necessarily see the same like level of physical dominance that he had at cruiserweight with guys that are going to be as big or bigger than he is.
Right, I agree with that. But hey, I want before I ask Kurt Sugar his top 3 pound for pound, before I ask Fight Doctor and Terrence, but I want to go to the chat real quickly. Kiwi had said this quote: "Pound for pound means if they're the same size, who will win? In my opinion, Usyk would beat Estrada. Achievements mean nothing in pound for pound." That's his opinion. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think Estrada's defensive skills blow Usyk's out of the water. Estrada has never been hit as cleanly by a Tony Bellew level of opponent as Usyk was.
And Usyk was struggling with a counter puncher in Braidis.
That's true. And some people felt that he lost that fight against Braidis.
That was a very close fight.
Yeah, some people felt he lost. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, like again, pound for pound is very subjective. It's a very subjective topic. There's really no right. I mean, there are some right answers, and there are not too many wrong answers there either. But the fact,
I mean, even the hypothetical of it is kind of funky when you like consider the idea, like, oh, if they were the same size, like, but in the same size in what measure? Like, you know, if Estrada put on 100 pounds, he'd be Usyk size, but he'd also be fucking 5'4" and 115 pounds.
Right? Can I say something? Let me say something. If you want to talk about if Kiwi's applying to the Usyk-esque type of fighter that matching up against Estrada, that's what he's referring to.
Right. Right.
I would defer to Carlos Cudras. I'm not saying he's as skillful as Usyk is, but he's got the hand speed and the work rate like Usyk. And he fought, and Estrada dealt with him pretty well. Yes, he gave up. You know, he was losing the early rounds against him, but Estrada caught up to him. He timed him perfectly. He knew what he was. You know what time. You know, knew he pretty much knew exactly. He saw the speed of Cudra's punches where they were coming from. So I would argue that Estrada is one of those guys that you know is not easy that you could pick apart. He's going to time you. He's going to take his time with you. He's not going to. He fights in spurts, and he's very good. He's very good at countering off the front foot. So that's something that Usyk has trouble with. He has trouble with guys who can counterpunch off the front foot very well, a la Smirnis Briedis, a la Chaz Weatherspoon. Even though he's not as good as a fighter as Briedis is, but look at those fights and how many times he got countered off the front foot by those guys. So I just wanted to add that real quick. Yeah. Yo, Kurt Sugar, what's your top 3 pound for pound, man?
Mine is number 3 Canelo, number 2 Lomachenko, number 1 Crawford, and I'm gonna explain why. You know, pound for pound is who has the best all around skill set, and I notice resume has crept into it. You know, Crawford doesn't have the best resume, but then again, he makes A/B level fighters look like C-level fighters, because remember, Victor Postol at that time was the boogeyman of the division. Danny Garcia ducked him, and people were saying that Postol was going to beat Crawford, and Crawford boxed beautifully. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but Crawford footwork surprised me. He has very good footwork, you know, and he beat Gamboa, he beat Ndongo. You know, somebody with his skill level should be fighting the Porters and the Spencers, and we have to see what happens. It's just that politics, but I can look at Crawford and feel comfortable saying he's going to win tonight. I will pick him over any welterweight in the world, including Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, anybody. You know, people saying Horn was going to rough him up. Terence Crawford reminds me a lot of a young Mike McCallum. They fight just alike, you know. So I have to go by that. Now, Canelo has the best resume, but that's not what pound for pound is. Now, when somebody say number 1, I can understand that because Canelo is a hell of a fighter, but I've seen him lose, and the way you beat Canelo is with footwork. You know, Mayweather-Lara, you know, Trout half of the fight, but Trout had to change his style because in that fight they had open scoring. And Lomachenko is a very good fighter, but he lost to a pressure fighter, Orlando Salido. I have yet to see Crawford lose or be in a danger of losing. He beat Felix Diaz, who in return I thought he beat Lamont Peterson. You know, I thought Diaz got robbed against Lamont Peterson, but you know, the problem with Crawford is that he's so good. We want to see him in danger, or we want to see him with a top level opponent. If he's dominating in that fight, you know, against Spence, his rival, and we don't know. I heard Spence coming back in the spring, or Sean Porter or anybody. Then we could definitely say he's pound for pound. That's, you know, my take on it. You know, resume is one thing, skill set is another, where I could be like, man, that guy is the best fighter in boxing. I like Inouye, you know, but I got Spence 4 and Usyk 5. I'm not high on Usyk like a lot of people. I thought he lost the Brandeis fight. He was getting touched up by Bellew. You know, he didn't look good against Chaz Witherspoon. That wasn't Tim Witherspoon he was fighting. It was Chaz Witherspoon. So, you know, that's my take. It's a very subjective argument. You know, I love talking about pound for pound because I like hearing people's opinions and, you know, subjective matter. You know, but, you know, I feel comfortable with Terence Crawford because he could fight multiple ways. He's an excellent fighter, man. You know, people just want to see him in with better competition.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Good point. Good point. So, Terrence, what's your top 3 pound for pound?
All right, my pound for pound, well, it's pretty weird for me because I rank it in a far different criteria than other people as of recently. I rank it on what you have done within the past year. But for now, in terms of like the initial pound for pound, that the consensus of people that go by, I think it's interchangeable that people can put either Terrence Crawford or Canelo at number 1, and then number 3 maybe Lomachenko, and the rest is interchangeable. You know what I mean? But um, a lot of people, like Kurt said, a lot of people overlook the skill set, and how they're dominating their performances. And Terrence Crawford, I have yet to see him in a very controversial fight against some of these opponents that he's been facing. But a lot of people will say the resume is a problem because of that. But you also have to keep in mind that some of the pound for pound fighters currently on this list have had very controversial fights themselves with lower level opposition that are pretty questionable, if you ask me. So I think Terrence Crawford does exceed everybody else in that aspect. And then alongside him being undisputed, of course, and a 2-time lineal champion in 2 different weight classes at 140 and 135. But I wouldn't be mad if somebody said like Canelo was number 1, because he does have a very solid resume himself. But that's my take on pound for pound. It's subjective, anyways.
Cool. Yeah, it's good discussion, man. I mean, good discussion. Now that Canelo's, gets coked up, I don't bring that up because obviously I wanted to see what you guys take on that and so forth. Yeah, man. So anyhow, man, yeah, I think we should wrap things up. I think let me see if there's anything else that's going on right now. Ain't not too much going on right now. I know we touched up on this earlier with the Eddie Hearn situation. I know, EJ, I'm not sure, you just came in a second ago about Eddie Hearn's and Chavez Jr. situation. You have your thoughts on that?
What's going on with that? What's Eddie Hearn up to now? Tell me about that. What's happening?
Okay, here's what's happening. Chavez Jr. and Dana Jacobs fight got announced, right? So they're supposed to host a fight in Vegas. And of course, INSAC, they have a rule that if you're going to sanction the fight in Vegas, and once we approve that sanction, you have to go through a mandatory drug screening. So what happened is that Chavez Jr. was scheduled to have a drug, his samples collected. He went to the gym that he was training, and he flat out refused to give the collectors his samples. He flat out refused. So Bob Bennett and NINSAC, executive director, they put him on administrative suspension until he complies. So they revoked his license. So Eddie Hearn tried to outmaneuver NSAC and host a fight elsewhere other than Nevada. So they tried to host it in California. They got denied. So I think they went elsewhere, and then they eventually found Arizona. Arizona was going to go ahead and approve the license. So when Bob Bennett found out about that, he warned Eddie Hearn and sent him a very, very stern warning saying, look, what you're doing here pretty much violates the Muhammad Ali Act. What Bob Bennett specifies, look, if we, athletic commission in a state like Nevada, if we suspend a fighter for failing to comply with drug testing measures, that means that he cannot get licensed elsewhere according to the Muhammad Ali Act. So what you're doing here is trying to undermine that law, and you're possibly violating it. So if you go forward with this, we will sanction you. Not only that we revoke your license, but there's other penalties that could be assessed to you for breaking the law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know the thing is, what you just said there, that's what happened to Mike Tyson when he bit Mike Tyson when he was banned in Nevada. So they took it to Memphis in the pyramids, right? And he had his fight in Memphis, right? But at the same time,
I think Nevada they suspended his license, and they renewed it after.
They suspended. But what it is, but Mike Tyson, he was like, it was 1 or 2 fights before later on he's gonna retire. But Eddie Hearn is constantly active. So what they're trying to say is that he's one and do it. So Eddie Hearn's in a sticky situation, but I think he understands that, because look, let me tell you something, right? Chavez's last fight, it came on, I think it was 5 a.m. over here, right? And I remember I was gonna watch it, right? I woke up, right? And I saw the views. Listen, Chavez does numbers. I'm not gonna lie. I think he does better numbers than Canelo. I'm not even exaggerating. He does more numbers. And they need Canelo's numbers for the zone. That's why he's trying to break his neck, trying to keep up. And it's probably worth violating some sort of thing because he can't get out of it. Now, that's a very sticky situation. So what was the outcome? Is he still trying to press for the fight, or what's happening?
Well, as of now, the fight has not been scheduled as we speak. So Hearn hasn't really responded to Bob Bennett's letter.
Yeah,
so
but by his silence, that means he got the message then, isn't it?
Yeah.
So guys, can I chime in for a second?
Go ahead.
So what happened with if memory serves me correctly, what happened with the Mike Tyson Lennox Lewis situation is that the Nevada State Athletic Commission were a bit put off by some of Tyson's antics when he bit Lennox Lewis at that presser for the fight. Right. So basically, what happened is, if memory serves me correctly, the Nevada State Athletic Commission refused to give Tyson a license. Now, that's different than what's happened in the situation with Chavez, is that Chavez is under suspension.
Yeah.
So I think according to the rules of the ABC or the Muhammad Ali Act, if a fighter is suspended in any state in the United States or by any commission, then he can't get licensed in any other state.
Oh, okay. That is different.
Yeah, so like if Arizona was to actually license him, they'd actually be committing a crime.
So he can't get licensed in any other state as long as he's under suspension by NSAC.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that. I was going to point that out. That's the difference between the two situations. I know some people want to defer to the Charlo brothers skipping out on their VADA testing. They're trying to put that situation which I've here. Actually, no, you can't do that because one, whether the Charlo brothers deliberately missed their drug test or not, the only difference is that they didn't. It's not like they flat out refused to give out their samples. You can't prove that. They're still, as we speak right now, they're still undergoing VADA testing, random testing as we speak. Chavez Jr.
Well, Nevada never suspended them, so I mean, it ends the case begins and ends with them, whether they were suspended or not, and they weren't.
Yeah, exactly. The fact is that Chavez Jr. flat out refused to do it while they were there trying to collect his samples. He said, "Hell no, you're not getting any samples from me." He said he straight up flat out refused. So that's the difference between the situation. So I mean, again, Eddie Hearn is kind of, he's got to watch it, and I'm giving him advice. This is not the UK. This is not UCAD. This is not like a single. I'm not sure, EJ, you guys have like one governing body in a way when it comes to the commission over there, which is the British Board of Boxing Control. It's not like you cannot maneuver. It's not like them. You cannot maneuver them. You can't do that here in the United States because there's too many commissions involved. You know what I mean? And his initial thought was, okay, if Nevada's not going to license him, then I can go somewhere else in the United States. That's not the case. You can't do that. It depends on the situation.
Was Muhammad Ali suspended in any of his first fight in Canada?
What fight was that?
George Chuvalo? I think he did. Yeah.
You know what? I think that was something pertaining to that. Yeah, he couldn't get a license somewhere.
Right. That's right.
Trigger could contest to that.
Let me that bitch to Canada.
Yeah, you know what? Someone else brought this up too, because the John Jones situation, when John Jones got suspended for a failed drug test, and Dana White forced to move his fight elsewhere. And here's the thing, though. I think the loophole with the Muhammad Ali Act is that it doesn't pertain to MMA. It only pertains to boxing. It is governing the governance of boxing, not the MMA. So that's the problem. So, so that's why Dana White was able to get away with it. So ISAC had no control over that. See, now in this situation, they have a control over that because they have to adhere to the Muhammad Ali Act when it comes to boxing. So, I mean, like I said, man, I just want to get your thoughts on that one, man. And the fact that he's just me, he's being a little hypocrite because he's condemned drug cheats in the past. Here he is trying to protect one of them. And I was get to the Dillian White situation, which, by the way, I heard he's about to fight in December. Anything true to that?
He's fighting the Joshua card. That's what I'm hearing.
Well,
that's why the prices went up to pay for Dillian White. I heard he's going to Saudi Arabia or wherever the bloody fight is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, what's your thoughts on that one, man? What are your thoughts about the price hike that you guys gotta subject to?
So yeah, where's the fucking B sample, man? Where's the B sample? For fuck's sake, man.
I'm gonna get Edge note on here for that one.
Yeah, you better get Edge note on that one.
Dog. Like when you think we're just gonna forget, like if anyhow, it's like we don't talk about it, then maybe people forget about it. No, man, where's the fucking B sample? Like I don't know if what's that guy's name again? The one he fought and the promoter Eddie Hearn gave them some money to shut them up and make them sign some.
Eric Molina. It was Eric Molina, right?
No, Dillian. What's the guy Dillian? Right? What's his name again? The one he fought in England, the one all the dodgy.
Oscar Rivas.
Yeah,
Oscar Rivas.
I don't know if Eddie Hearn said, "Listen, I'll pay you $500,000 or $1 million. Shut up, shut you to your promoter, to you. Just keep quiet, sign this contract, and because the British board are dealing with it, and that's it. I don't know if people got paid off by the Zone. The Zone sent them $2 million and said, "Yo, because Rivas ain't saying shit, and the promoter ain't saying shit." They said I looked on Twitter. The promoter was pushing legal, Yvonne Machon pushing legal action. Then all of a sudden that got shut down. How's it talking about it? How's it got shut down? Like, what? And then the thing is, in YouTube now they're trying to fucking shut us down. So
well, you know, I think in terms of shutting them down, I'm just speculating. I think Rivas and his team, there was a settlement that was there. It was kept quiet. That's just my view.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got paid off.
Yeah, he's been paid off. And as far as Thomas Hauser, I don't know if he's been paid off. Maybe he had some more incriminating information that he was going to release, and they caught to him and say, "Hey, don't release it. We'll pay you to keep it quiet. Don't release it." How's them sports writers? If you give them money, they'll say anything. Because you know Fat Dan works for Oscar De La Hoya. You know that already. Everyone knows that. That's true. I know that. That is true.
But, I challenged that guy.
What's that?
I challenged that guy years ago. He didn't want no smoke. No, Dan Raphael.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan Raphael. Okay. Hey, you know what? And I was going to say though, the one thing about Dillian that I cannot get over, man. I know a lot of people say, "Dan, you got to let this go." Is the glove thing, man. I'm just keeping it real. I cannot let that go. I know it's done with, but over time I will get over it. But right now, I just still can't get over it. I can't forgive Dillian for that glove controversy. I cannot do it. But, you know, time will tell. That's all I got to say. But, one thing I want to ask you guys real quickly on this, man. The PBC belt. Trust me, it's not a surprise to me because this has been talked about for years now. It seems like this is going to become reality because Chris Mannix just interviewed I forgot the guy's name. He's the vice president of Fox Sports. They actually going to pretty much make this a reality. But I think, in my view, I think Dana White has something to do with this because we all know that Dana White is now getting into boxing. He's flat out said that he's not going to recognize the world sanctioning bodies. So do you think he has a hand on this right here? What do you guys thought?
Let me go first, and then we go around the horn. Like, fuck what Dana White thinks. That guy shut down the whole of the MMA community when he got control of UFC. There was an MMA community that I wasn't a part of, but I used to listen to. And when he took over, he shut all of them down. He had only guys talking good about UFC, like this guy called Luke Watkins, whatever. And he recently came out and said, "I was paid just to say good things about UFC." And he said, "I'm not doing it no more." So he's away from Errol Wawani, and now he just does his own thing. He even talks on boxing, right? So I don't give a shit what he says, right? Now let's go back to the belt. Now, is boxing becoming the WWE? Is boxing coming to WWE with all these multiple belts? Yeah, it is. I got no problem with that. You know what? Let me tell you something. Yeah, if the PBC belt's honorable, where they don't pay sanctioning fees and you're respected, let's get the PBC belt out here. No, real talk now, because look at this, right? The WBO belt has been around for years, right? But if you get a credible champion to hold that belt, the belt gets respect. Then that's how these belts come alive. Now, is the PBC belt going to be more criminal than the WBC? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. Is it going to? Do you have to be on PBC to? How does it work? Do you have to be on PBC to get it? What about the Fox belt? What about the Fox belt? The Fox belt have it. Okay, the PBC's a Fox. What about the DAZN belt? Right? Are they going to have a DAZN belt? Right? And if you're the PBC fighter, you beat the DAZN fighter. Do you take their belt? Like this is becoming the WWE. But let me tell you something, right?
The SmackDown belt versus the Raw and all that.
The SmackDown and Raw. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is, right? End of the day, right? Is what we're looking at right now is our sport becoming a flipping circus, and it was done when you let KSI, people can say KSI and Logan into the thing, right? And all the gates are open, right? But what we're looking at is reason why people.
That wasn't the start of it. EJ stopped.
No, what I'm saying is it's more than boxing in terms of like respectable sport. It's about numbers. We're living in that era, and it's always been that the numbers eras. So if it makes numbers and it makes money, it makes sense. That's what even with wrestling, it's like the ratings. That's what they care about, the ratings. Not necessarily the wrestling content or the boxing content. That's a side thing. It's all about the numbers. When we talk about how much pay-per-views, is he a pay-per-view fighter? How much money do you earn? You know what I'm gonna say to you? Like, we're all into that stuff, but really and truly, did the fight live up to thing? I'm not one of these guys who sit back and look at the numbers. But let's talk about what we're talking about. Now I'm saying they haven't got no sanctioning fees, right? And is it gonna be more credible than the WBA? Yeah, are they gonna do like the PBC? What's the franchise? The PBC franchise belt, the PBC silver belt, the PBC diamond belt, the PBC international belt. You know, that's where it goes with it. But listen, everyone's trying to get money out of it, right? So if they get money out of PBC, and get money, extra money, do anything, I ain't got no problem with the PBC belt. Really, I haven't. I really don't.
Well, let me ask you this.
Other belts are less credible. Other belts are less credible. That's what I'm saying. So if they're credible and they conduct themselves and about how they do, and their belt looks like, I mean, let's put it this way: if their belt becomes as much as high prestige as the ring belt, not necessarily by the Ring magazine, but in terms of that's the belt that most fighters want to get. Let's say I want this, right? If you get the PBC belt, they give you an ultimate bonus. What about they say to you? If you become this PBC champ, we actually give you money. We actually give you $500,000 for holding on that belt each year. See, you know what I'm saying? If they do that now, would that change things? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I hear you, but let me just go to the chat. Kiwi brought up an interesting point. He says, look, a PBC belt could work if they don't recognize any other sanction bodies to make it one body to rule all, but they're saying they will recognize the other bodies, so I don't think it will work. Oh, okay. So they will recognize the other 4 sanctioned bodies. So if that happens, and then the other sanctioned bodies recognizes them like they did with the WBO 12 years ago, then that means 5 belts need to be collected to become the undisputed champion instead of 4 as we speak.
I mean, it's not even just 4 though, because you got fucking regular champions and gold champions and unobtainium champions and fucking lead champions.
Platinum champions. Yeah, I hear you, man. Like the platinum belt. I mean, here's the difference between, as EJ pointed out, is that it could be a game changer because from the looks of it, fighters don't have to pay the sanctioning fees to get the PBC belt. So that would give them inspirations to go after that belt rather than the other belts. You see what I'm saying?
Possibly, but I mean the implication of it though is that you basically have to be a PBC fighter in order to hold the belt. So if you're basically excluding about 90% of active fighters, how the fuck are you going to call yourself a world champion?
Man, that's a good point.
But PBC belt means you're the network champion. It doesn't mean you're the world champion.
Well, look, where my point is, EJ, if they're going to recognize like the other sanctioned bodies like the WBA, the WBC, IBF, and WBO,
and that I mean, in that case, EJ, then it's a minor title. Then it's no better really than like the British Championship or like the
it's a minor title. It will be a minor title, but it's like a perk. That's the prop up. Like in England, we got this belt called the Challenger belt, right? It's the belt like it's like a fight at 8 rounds. Then when they do 8 rounders, that's the belt they get. Like if they can fight for the challenge belt, like because not everyone's gonna be a world champion, bro. And like some of these dudes, they are dying to get these world belts. But if they get the PBC belt and the PBC belt gets credit, it's like, yo, man, I got my PBC belt. I'm the best PBC fighter on the network. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like I don't. If it has good.
I mean, but I mean, would they be though? Like, it's like who else in the PBC might have a belt that's actually a better fighter?
It's like, let's put it this way. You know, like the TV in wrestling, NWA, right? Or the WC, they're the TV champion. That's what it is. It's basically the TV champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Say they make this belt like in a week, and Spencer's still recovering from his injuries from the car accident. Yeah. And they make Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia for the PBC welterweight title.
Yeah.
When Spence comes back, like then is for the winner of Porter versus Garcia really the best welterweight on PBC, or is it Errol Spence?
Well, that's a good question. If you fight for the belt, then you find out. But let me tell you, son, this stuff now, yeah. You see this bullshit they do with these belts. Let's say the PBC does this. It starves all them sanctioning bodies to behave themselves. Imagine all their bullshit they've been doing. People say they had enough. Everyone's ordered. The promoters and the managers say, we don't want these WWE belts because you're charging too much. We want these PBC belts. They give you money actually to be their champion. I'm like, yo, that's what's up. So all these box sanctions, they're gonna go out of business. And if they go out of business, if the PBC belt comes in and it knocks off these sanctioning bodies, so what? So what? Like WBA disappears. So what? Yeah, I like the IBF though. I like as long as the IBF stays around, the WBC disappears. So what? You know what I mean? And then the boxing will come down to one belt, one champion, and then we're back where we started originally. So I'm saying if they come in existence and the other and they wipe out the other bullshit because that's what's going on. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So I ain't got no problem with it.
Yo, Dan, I'll catch you later.
Hey, no problem, Texan or Terrence.
Yeah, it was a good chat, man. Like with the whole panel and everything. Good to see you back.
You don't want to give your opinion, Texan, before you go?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to give your opinion before you go?
Oh yeah. The PBC thing, the title and everything. Well,
yeah.
I think the sanctioning bodies have been very inconsistent as of lately. You know, franchise, super, regular, McDonald's, Burger King, all of that. And well, I wouldn't even be mad, honestly, if let's say they vacate all the titles as soon as let's say for the undisputed championship, in their opinion, Ruiz versus Wilder, and then all of a sudden they unify it. I know they're not going to count the WBO, but as soon as they unify those titles, they vacate them, but they keep the PBC belt, and that's where that's what I think they're going to do. You know, I don't know if how it's going to look like in the future. You know, like it's going to be strange, but the sanctioning bodies, they have themselves to blame, you know, for the networks and promoters and even the fans at this point for slowly, gradually drifting away from them, you know.
Right. Well, that's a possibility, man. I mean, I think that's the whole goal, is to try to monopolize the situation where that belt will hold more weight than any other than the older governing body belts. For example, somebody brought this up, a good point, is that's how the UFC model, that's how it works. Because MMA, I know that the MMA landscape, there's various promotions out there. But as a casual fan, the UFC is the belt that people believe that's the actual belt. You're the world champion if you could get that belt. That's
in America, anyway.
Yeah, America. Well, not just America, it's worldwide. If you talk to people all over the world, a casual MMA fan, they think the UFC belt is the actual world belt.
I'm not sure about the entire planet, but
what's up?
I think it's the best belt because they have the best fighters, right?
Yeah, they do. But that's the whole point. That's the whole point of it. If you could get the best fighters in the world to fight for that particular belt, for that particular organization, that changes the narratives when it comes to what is the more legitimate or the most prestigious belts. I think that's the end game goal here with Al Heyman, and I think Dana White has something to do with this. I'm being honest. I think he does.
I don't think he does, to be honest, Dan, because considering the fact that they've been holding boxing events on UFC Fight Pass, I think what would be more of a Dana White move would be for Dana White to create the UFC boxing championship.
Oh, that's possible. That is possible. You got a good point there. Kirk, you wanted to say something about this?
Yeah, before I go, I remember when the IBF came out in '83, it was looked down upon. And the WBO came in '88. Oh, it was definitely looked down upon. The WBO has come a long way. Nobody wanted the WBO belt. Tommy Hearns beat James Kitchen to become his first world champion, and they gave certain fighters, the more popular fighters, the belt without even fighting for it. I mean, that was the trick. We want to sell our product by having the most popular fighters, become, be our champions. Now it's, people, is accepted, but PBC, it's going to be successful for the simple fact Fox is a monster company, and I think the guy name is, if I could be mistaken, his last name was Wagner, I think.
Yeah, it's Wagner. Yeah.
And they're serious about boxing. They're trying to monopolize the game, man, because they have most of the fighters. And I know people, I interview people that's close to Al Heyman. He's a promoter. I mean, he's a promoter.
Yeah.
I can't say the fighter and his father, they work with him and stuff. And he has a small company called Ringstar, with whatchamacall, and they tell me everything. And
Richard Schaefer.
Yeah, right. They tell me everything. He's a promoter. He's a promoter, but I gotta go warm the car for my wife. She get ready to go to work. Hey man, you guys are great, man. It's been a blast. It's been a pleasure, man. Talking boxing with no BS, man. And I'll be back, Dan, and the panel, man. I just gotta run out here, warm the car. My wife get ready to go to work, man, and I'm just going chilling, man. And it's just been a great platform. Thanks, Dan, man.
Hey, man. Hey, as always, man, you're always welcome. You know that, brother. So, yeah, just always stay in touch, brother. Okay?
I sure will. I'll see you guys. Have a good evening.
You too, man. Take care. Hey, later, brother. All righty, y'all. So, I guess that wraps everything up right now, man. Unless anybody else anything they want to add before we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of skeptical, man. Just because it's one of those things where it's like if you're gonna eliminate a bunch of like other fighters that aren't on the platform, that's just an assumption I'm making, But it's kind of built into the idea, though. I mean, if you're naming it the PBC belt, so
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Who's gonna be the PBC cruiserweight champion? The guy that just got knocked out by Dorticos. You know what I mean? Who's gonna be the PBC flyweight champion? Do they have any flyweights? I mean,
no. I mean, that's not. Do they even have any cruiserweights? I mean, the last cruiserweight they had was Garcia. He's not there anymore. So, I mean, other than that,
he's a TMT fighter. So, I mean, he's loosely related, but
that is true.
But like I was just
yeah. He's only one. He only has one. That's only one. Who else is there? That's it.
Right.
And
I mean, in theory, it might be a case where they have guys that they don't necessarily have promotional rights to that they could theoretically like at least go fight to fight with, too. Guys maybe that don't have like promotional representation in the U.S. and they could like do co-promotion type deals with them. Yeah. Like now anyway, Inoue didn't have an American promoter. He was being promoted by Ohashi, and then they were co-promoting with 360 with Tom Loeffler for a little while, and then now with Bob Arum with Top Rank. So
yeah, it's just a good move. I mean, we'll get to see more of Inoue anyway in the United States. So that's definitely a great move right there, in my view. So yeah, before I go, EJ, I didn't have a chance to ask you these questions about the pay-per-view hike. I know I asked you about it a little bit, but do you see it as a bit of a cash out by Sky Sports and Hearn in case Joshua doesn't win the rematch against Ruiz?
That's what people will be saying, yeah. But I think it's more to do with the UK. There haven't been many UK cards, right? And UK boxing has been suffering. We've been dying, even though we're the best fans in boxing. Eddie Hearn is always in America. The UK product, in my opinion, is starving. If you think about it, right? The other day with Joshua had the fights in Cardiff and Wembley, and it was everything. Eddie Hearn took that ball and bring it to America. UK over here suffering, and I think he's looking at it like, well, boy, listen, it could be a cash out, or it could be new fans coming into the sport. I mean, people in the UK, they're gonna making us pay for that thing. People love Joshua that much. I think they're trying to make more money. They're trying to make more money in terms of balancing up their pay-per-views, but we didn't do that well. You know what I mean? So let's look at when was the last UK pay-per-view? Who was the last UK pay-per-view fighter? Eddie Hearn is bigging up Devin Haney and other fighters, but the British model in terms of Callum Smith, he won the Super Series. Where's he at? The World Boxing Super Series. Where's he at? Where's his pay-per-views? Where's all the UK major pay-per-views?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Callum Smith, in my view, could potentially be the next star in the UK. It's just that he's not promoted properly. I hate to say that. He's natural.
No, he never won it. But who did he beat? The World Boxing Series is a great thing, but who did he beat? Does he really want to fight? He never fought no one, in my opinion.
Wait, who?
One arm. The World Boxing Series is a great thing, right? But he fought one arm. I don't really think he never wanted it. He was always picking his nose and doing that. He's always procrastinating. He just don't want it. He ain't got no zest.
I mean, Smith, like the legitimacy of Smith's Ali Trophy is the weakest among any of the guys so far. He had the easiest route to get there by far.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, you guys got a good point, but that's not his fault. He beat whoever that.
No, it's not his fault, but it's also like you can't necessarily say that like, oh, he's the man at 168.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
Yeah,
because Benavidez and Plant have every bit as much argument to that as he does.
And the stars of the division have dropped out. James DeGale's not there no more. Eubank has dropped out to middleweight.
Yeah. There's really no clear number one at 168.
Yeah,
I mean, you could easily mix and match 1, 2, 3, and maybe even 4. You know, amongst the top.
Yeah, Eubank, right, was one of our big stars as well. He's dropped down to middleweight, and he's trying to rebuild his career in America.
Yeah. Well, you know what though, I think they kind of missed the boat with him a little bit, regardless of his opposition or not. He's done what he's done. Nobody expected him.
He brought numbers.
Yeah. He brought numbers. And let's be honest, we didn't expect him to beat George Groves. We thought George Groves was going to beat him. We all thought he did.
No. I
know. I thought he did. No, many people thought George Groves was going to beat him.
I didn't think so, man. I thought you guys would have done it, but that should have been the finals. They had it the wrong way. That finals, right?
That's true. The way they had the tournament bracket, that should have been. It should have been Groves versus Eubank.
That should have been the finals. They made him go too early. That was a mistake. Yeah. The guy, because listen to this, right? If Eubank would have won that tournament, how great would it have been for boxing in England? It would have been better because he would have.
Yeah, then Eubank would probably be your next pay-per-view star behind John.
Of course he would.
Eubank's a really good self-promoter too. Like Smith is a damn church mouse, man. You can't get that dude to open his mouth for anything.
The worst guy to win the tournament. Like let's see what anyway. Like when you win these tournaments, right? You have to go on to do something. Like, and let's talk about if you talk about World Boxing Super Series. Out of the guys who won it, who have took it to the next level and said, "Yo," like, because when Andre Ward won the World Boxing Super Series back then, or when Andre Ward took it to the next level, pound for pound, and all the rest of the stuff, he took it. But how many of them are doing that? Now let's go back to the UK, right? So the UK, in my opinion, because Eddie Hearn's about, now Frank Warren's trying to build certain stars over here, Daniel Dubois and Anthony Yard. You know where that went, right? So that's one down, one to go. Right, and he's talking about the other guys, but I feel like Eddie Hearn is in America a lot of times. The UK mold in terms of building the next UK star to say, "Yo, this is going to be the next pay-per-view star." Eddie Hearn is invested in American stars, and I feel like Eddie Hearn's going to build up what's his name, Devin Haney and whoever, and then they're going to leave him. They're going to leave him when their contract's up and go back to Al Heyman. Of course, they're going to go, "Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go Al Heyman," because they really.
Yeah. Now I was going to say real quickly though. Go ahead, finish up. I was going to chime in about the
UK. Yeah. Real up to the issue is that basically the UK model in a nutshell, in my opinion, is suffering. So this goes into why the monies go up. Maybe Anthony Joshua is going to leave. Anthony Joshua is going to lose, right? And that's another reason why, because it's like worth paying it. But the thing is, the next day they put Sky. Sky is doing really badly. I don't know if you guys know about it. They're suffering.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. First and foremost, they haven't scaled down. It's too expensive, and the boxing. Like, imagine you pay. Listen to this, right? I pay for the pay-per-view, and I can't keep it. Basically, what happens? You pay for it, and after a month, it disappears, and you have to watch it on archive. That means it doesn't belong to me no more. But back in the days, that's how it is now, right? So you pay for a pay-per-view, and you don't keep it on your system. It's gone. I'm like, what kind of fucking shit is that? And then it'll be uploaded on YouTube. So the way they do things over there. Is they're trying to be digitized, but at the same time, the network itself is suffering. I don't want to be saying this still, but I hope it doesn't go like HBO, where boxing has just been took. I mean, Sky Sports itself, the boxing, I think the football's been took off onto another channel as well. But I feel like I don't want it to go like HBO, because Sky Sports is good for UK boxing. But at the same time, I feel like UK boxing, because of Eddie Hearn and what he's decided to do to take it to America. UK suffering, therefore the prices have gone up. And yes, maybe because if Anthony Joshua loses, they're trying to cash out. So that's my take.
All right. Well, okay. Speaking of the Eubanks, I want to ask you guys something about this. You probably know already. Eubanks is now with the PPC now, with Al Heyman. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a pretty good career move for Chris Eubank and the Eubanks?
Well, I can go quickly. They've been with he's been with Al Heyman from the jump. They've been with Al Heyman from the World Boxing Super Series work. Because when I was getting my press credentials, what's his name? Ambrose Mendy told me they're working with Al Heyman. He's an advisor. Because remember James DeGale was working with Al Heyman, and Ambrose was there. So the Eubanks been working with Al Heyman for quite a while now. So it's not the news. That's why they decided to stay in America rather than build it in the UK.
Oh yeah. You know what? You're right. That's not too much of news. The biggest news is that they're actually going to base themselves in America now.
Yes.
So you think that's obviously they're falling pretty much. It's all the top fighters are leaving in the UK at this point. So
man, ain't Americans trying to hear no bloody British accent, bro, with their bullshit. Ain't it's the worst time. It's actually the worst time because you have anti-UK sentiment in terms of what's going on between Anthony Joshua and Wilder. So ain't gonna get no love over there. Ain't gonna get no love over here, and you ain't getting no love in England because people in England think you're a fraud. So I don't know how he's gonna go. And fighting Matt Corribo, I don't know how.
Well, he's gonna be a villain, EJ. He's gonna come in here, you know.
You know what? It's like what Tyson Fury said. I'm not sure if you guys agree with this. Tyson Fury, that's why he left the UK. He's like, dude, they can't respect me in my own country. Then why should I?
Bruh, yeah, he gets disrespected
over there.
Yeah, he does get disrespected. He does. He'll be on the road. People call because you know he's a traveler. People call him a pikey. You know that's a derogatory word, right? That's a real that's a racist word, and he gets called that often. You know, just doing these things. In America, you know, they treat you. I don't know if he's being treated good in America because I saw that WWE event. It was garbage, right? And he ain't trying to fight Wilder. He tried.
Well, that wasn't Saudi though, so I mean that
was bullshit. That was a lot of
you know what he did?
I thought it was pretty entertaining.
That was a good match with Braun Strowman. He
should have went against bloody Bobby Lashley. No, bro, Bobby Lashley. Because
Fury killed against Lesnar.
No. What I'm trying to say is that he went against a guy who looks like him, but they look like twins and shit. It didn't. You know, we see Mayweather versus the Big Show. It's like, yo,
yeah.
You know what I'm gonna say to you? You can see the difference in contrast, right? That's what he sells, right? So they got him against a guy that no one even cares about, and after the fight, no one cares about this Braun Strowman either. You know
that is true. You should. That's a good point. Instead of WWE.
What did it do for him? Like, did that make Tyson Fury bigger? Hell no. You know, he didn't fight Hulk Hogan. He didn't fight Ric Flair. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, you know what? You got a good point.
I mean, it got Fury well paid in a country that he's never been to.
His profile. What did he do?
I'm sure. I'd be willing to bet you it probably helped his profile over there because what I imagine Fury was trying to do.
Over here, where you at now?
I'm talking about the Middle East. I'm talking about in the Middle East.
Oh, in the Middle East. Oh,
yeah. Because like you got to think, Joshua versus Ruiz is being hyped up over there and all that stuff. So in comes Fury trying to steal some of that shine and trying to get some of those eyes on him. You get what I'm saying? I think that's why he did that.
To each point, though, if you're going to do that, put him in there against their top WWE star like Brock Lesnar. That's
right. Well, I mean, first of all, you'd have to get Lesnar to agree to that. You'd have to get Vince to agree to that, and you know they weren't. They weren't interested in that.
Well, Lesnar will definitely. Well, here's the thing: Lesnar will agree.
That Lesnar versus Velasquez shit. That shit was trash.
Joke.
They might as well they really should have just made it so that like Lesnar put him in that F5 joint, you know, the finisher or whatever, and then did him like that. You get what I'm saying? As opposed to having a fake MMA match.
This is what they did to him, right? They try to make out like Brock Lesnar is a killer. He's this, that, the other. Everyone knows Cain Velasquez kicked Bro's legs as ass, yeah? So now you're going to tell us that Brock Lesnar in a wrestling
wig back.
Cain Velasquez was. And you know the worst thing about it, like he beating down with a chair, and then you had Rey Mysterio 5'2" coming to save him. I was like, this shit is dumb. Well,
you know what? Speaking of that, you know Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar for the title on Survivor Series. There's rumors now that Lesnar's going to put Mysterio over. I'm like, okay, if they're going to do that, the reason why they're planning on doing that because Lesnar's going to be taking some time off again.
Yeah, that's why wrestling is dumb.
Well, I mean, that's because that's the thing. Because Lesnar, he costs a shit ton of money, and so like they can only pay him for so much for so long. You know, that's what he is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he might go to the UFC too, but here's the thing though, because the WWE's losing money on that damn. Well, Fox that is by that matter. They're losing money on that damn contract.
Oh, yeah, that's their business. Yeah, I tell you what. Yeah, that's their business. Because let me tell you something. Yeah, you got a guy who got beat his ass. He got his ass beat in the UFC, and you bring him back. And you try to make because he does Suplex City and all that stuff. Like them cornball fans who don't want.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the crazy shit about it is the fact that back in the day, like when Bart Gunn got smoked by Butterbean, they They fired him. He was gone. He could never work again.
You know what? Yeah, let me tell you why.
Because,
you know what?
No. I understand why, Dan. I understand the backstory behind it. I'm just saying, at that point, they did that on purpose because they wanted to expose Bart Gunn because of what Bart Gunn had done to Dr. Death, but when he was exposed like that, at that point, the fans are like, how the fuck are we supposed to imagine this guy being tough? He just got knocked cold. How am I supposed to buy that this guy is one of the baddest guys on the planet or whatever?
Because Bobby Lashley ain't got beat down. Well, I think he got beat down the other day. But what I'm saying is that these.
But like in an actual shoot fight, though, EJ, because at least with pro wrestlers, like say with Braun Strowman, at least with Braun Strowman, we haven't seen him in a shoot fight.
Yeah,
and him getting his ass whooped. Like he looks like a big, intimidating. Like he looks like if he got into a car accident or something, and somebody jumped out of their car and was like, "Motherfucker, I'm gonna do this and that," and then he would fucking just choke slam him to hell, and it would be over.
Mm-hmm.
He would be able to. But so we haven't seen him get exposed as a fighter. We've seen Brock Lesnar get exposed. We've seen Ronda Rousey especially get exposed, get completely obliterated. In real life. So it's one of those things where the wrestlers, they have to at least hold up a certain level of suspension of disbelief. You know what I mean? At least with the Ultimate Warrior, people thought like, wow, like if he actually got into a fight, he'd fuck somebody up. Or Lex Luger,
man, Ultimate Warrior. God rest his soul, but Jim Elwick was not a fighter. He was a bitch.
No. I'm just saying though. I'm talking about at least that was never like outright proven to the public at the time. You know what I mean? We hear about that stuff years after the fact in all these interviews and stuff, but not at the time that they're in the time.
We were marked for that shit. But what I'm saying is that
come on, man. I'm telling the truth.
Family members, we sat down. We sat down and watched Brock Lesnar get his ass beat by what's his name again? He got beat by
Overeem.
Alex Overeem was the worst one. That was the worst one, right? And like, because you thought if Brock Lesnar hits you, you're gonna die. That's what I thought. If he hits you with one punch, you're dead. And I feel like I can beat Brock Lesnar after the way he got beat down like a bitch. I thought I could beat Brock Lesnar, and it made all them wrestlers who we think are really big and tough. They're just big pussies. All of them big pussies. If you roll up on them, like even Mayweather broke the Big Show's nose, right? Did that help the Big Show? Did that help the Big Show? It made Mayweather look like he could punch. I see him break. I see two hooks, right? Mayweather dislocated his nose. I was like, yo, this kid can punch, like he really can punch. But at the same time, right, with this whole wrestling and boxing and these people, it just makes them look bad. And the whole thing with Cain Velasquez, that was garbage. Going back to Tyson Fury, what we initially started off with, Tyson Fury looks like a punk, bro. He just looks like a punk. And you want to go in there and fight some UFC guy, I hope they break your leg. Let you teach you a lesson. Well, you shouldn't be in there. Look what happened to James Toney. You didn't learn your lesson. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true, guys. But hey, listen, guys, I'm about to end this right now. I know it's been a long time that I talked to all of you guys, but it's good to be back. So hey, Nyota, EJ, Fight Doctor, Terrence from the Texan, Kurt Sugar, and Ahmed. Pleasure to you guys, man. As always. So I'm gonna be active more as I should. So so we could definitely I'm gonna keep in touch with you guys. To the chat. Shout out to Kiwi. Shout out to Mr. Boxing Today. He was there for a minute. Mr. Boxing Today, man, you've been gone just like I have, man. Where are your videos, brother? D-Style, and who else was in here? Tony Yayo, Mr. Tibbs, Wing King, all you guys in the chat, man. Good to be back. And so we out here, y'all. Peace.
Peace.